Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this week's edition of the Sunday Wire. I'm your host, Patrick Henningsen. We're streaming out live on Rumble, YouTube, Facebook Live, BitChute, also on X, and we're also streaming out live on the audio streams, iTunes, Spotify, and all the sort of main audio podcasting platforms will be there after the show if you subscribe there, and also at 21stcenturywire.com, and of course at alternatecurrentradio.com as well. We have quite an intense, probably opening segment here. We're going to go for a massive deep dive on the Iran issue, and I'm looking forward to that. And Overdrive will be hopefully joined by our teammates from Alternate Current Radio, Hesher Ruckus, possibly Basil Valentine. We'll see. But what's happened in the last week since we last convened? I mean, we did focus a lot on the U.S. domestic issue there, but things went pretty wild over the last 7 days with Iran, and we'll go through a lot of this, and we're going to basically tease apart a lot of the lies and propaganda. We've never seen a flood of propaganda like this ever. I mean, the closest thing that I saw that resembles this was after October 7th, the amount of Israeli propaganda, 40 beheaded babies, mass rape, this and that, all of that stuff to kind of cover up the sort of massive carnage that Israel unleashed on the native Palestinian population in Gaza. That was a huge mainstream social media propaganda operation. This takes it to a whole nother level. The amount of money they spent on influencers and the amount that the mainstream went and repeated a lot of the fake claims. We'll tell you where the fake claims came from about mass casualties. They even went for the mass rape thing, accusing the Iranians of mass rape and accusing the Iranians of committing a genocide over the last week, if you can believe that. So you can see that what's going on here. They're trying to shift the focus and really shift the blame away from Israel and put the sort of all the ire of the global public onto the government in Iran in order to basically engineer a regime change in Iran. And they've got the U.S. behind this, Israel, the European Union's behind this, the entire Western mainstream media, think tanks, NGOs, the CIA, all the major intelligence agencies. They're all working at this. And the incredible thing is they kind of have failed so far. I mean, this is really, really an extraordinary story, which we'll get into. Now, let's start here. And by the way, just a little bit of housekeeping before we start. Again, thank you guys for joining us. This is episode 578 of this weekly omnibus television and radio program. Again, brought to you here at 21stcenturywire.com, Alternate Current Radio, and all the streams as well. Now, we're also right now we're doing our best to overcome algorithmic suppression. So look, if you're watching this on YouTube, if you haven't yet, please like this video and subscribe. This is the only way we can physically overcome the type of censorship, algorithmic suppression that we've been suffering for a very long time on all these platforms, especially the likes of YouTube. So we really appreciate it if you can do that for us. It will help immensely. And also, we're running our winter fundraising drive right now. So again, we have to update this dial. It's gone way, way up since we put this graphic up on our website. So we do have to update this dial. We passed the halfway mark on this, so we're well past 7,000, making our way to our goal. And this is how we fund the operation for 2026. We do this every winter, and this is just the bare minimum, just to basically keep our platform humming. And we have various staff doing different things in addition to myself. So this helps pay for that, as well as all of our IT, security, equipment. We have a massive web hosting operation as well, and we manage 7 or 8 platforms, which you'll find 21st Century Wire content on. So again, it goes to fund all of that, plus all of the special projects that we're developing, as well as independent investigations. We do long-term investigations, as you know, on the Nord Stream pipeline, as an example, on the Ukraine conflict. And now I think There's a few other long-term investigations that have also crept in, which we are pursuing, and we have a great team, and we work together on that. So your support, if you like what we do, you like this sort of content, we really need your help to make it happen this year. So I know a lot of you guys have donated already, and your generosity is unbelievable. Thank you so much. It's been amazing. We're going to need more help to get us over the finish line, though, in these final weeks. So if you haven't got involved, you want to subscribe and become a member at 21wired.tv. That's another way you can help us very inexpensively on a monthly basis, just over $5 a month. So it's very affordable. And as you know, we've been going since 2009, late 2009, 2010. So, and this show has been going for over 10 years. Okay, despite all the deplatforming, despite the censorship and the vexatious, gratuitous strikes that YouTube and other platforms would lay on our account in order to keep us off the air, we're still here. So just so you know, this is not a fly-by-night operation. We didn't just appear long before COVID. If you guys have been, some of you have been following us since the very beginning. So we appreciate your support on that. Again, I'm Patrick Henningsen, your host. Now let's get into the topic at hand. And I just want to direct people first to the Sunday screening this week. Plan Andina. What's this about? This is about the Jewish state in Patagonia, Argentina. This was an alternative plan to Palestine. Just imagine, back in the day when Theodor Herzl was putting his plan together for, the post-World War II, the Jewish state, as it were. The Rothschilds opted for Palestine in the end, and unfortunately, for the region and the world, well, it's been nonstop war, killing, carnage, ever since. So this is an amazing story, and the reason this story becomes relevant this week, and again, thank you to Freddie Ponton for this series. Patagonia Under Siege, How Fires, Foreign Capital, and the Isaac Accords are reshaping Argentina's last frontier. They're talking about Patagonia, one of the most beautiful nature reserves, and also it just happens to be resource rich. And there seems to be some plans afoot to gain control of the natural resources, the rare earth minerals, the fresh water. Javier Milei, or formerly Milikowski, that's where his name comes from, exactly the same as Benjamin Netanyahu, whose real name is Milikowski, both Polish-Jewish origins, it appears anyway. Definitely Netanyahu. Javier Milei is the current president of Argentina. His background I'm not 100% sure on, but it just so happens that some IDF soldiers have been seen running around Patagonia, and an Israeli was caught committing arson or setting fire. And some people blame this person for setting the biggest wildfire in Argentinian history. Anyway, we document everything. This is a two-part series so far. Maybe there's a third part coming. Thank you, Freddie Ponton, our associate editor for global affairs at 21stcenturywire.com. So that's the type of reporting that we're doing, and we are very much topic driven. Whatever is, driving the headlines each week, or what we think is going to be important and crucial, pivotal stories. That's what we're doing analysis on every week, every day, in fact. So again, if you want to support the work that we're doing, please go to the donate button. There's a gold button at the top. There's also a link in the show description on YouTube, as well as Rumble. But you can go to our website, hit donate, and you'll get all the options there for the winter fundraising drive. So a very important story. And you can see Israel's influence on the back of the United States stretching into South America with the Isaac Accords. They were very much a driving force behind the kidnapping of Nicolas Maduro and the way that the Trump administration's gone after Venezuela. So we cover all of that and more. So do look for that on our website right now. Bookmark that and do share this article. It's very important. The sequel to this is even more interesting. I think we have a third part coming out on this, but I just wanted to highlight that this week, as well as the Sunday screening, which is so fascinating. And we do a weekly documentary every week at 21stcenturywire.com, and that's curated by our editorial team every week. So we have a fantastic documentary and tremendous selection by the team this week. I'm just, again, blown away. Now, this is the theme of today's show, and we're gonna unpack the lies and the war propaganda around this Iranian information op and attempted regime change. It's still in progress. Okay, we'll show you what's happened, give you some updates as well, and how this is actually unfolded. And we'll break it down in a way that I think a lot of you are going to really appreciate. This is going to be a really important deep dive. So just put it into context. I mean, this is how much of a farce this has become, especially with this president in the United States. There's Donald Trump with his blue steel look. That's the sort of fake smile he puts on whenever he does photos. It's the same exact facial look. So it's sort of like Zoolander with the blue steel. Although the blue steel is warping a bit, as you can see. Trump is not in great shape. And he's Maria Corina Machado. This is the U.S. selected opposition leader of Venezuela. They gave her, using the CIA and the Israeli lobby to pressure the Nobel Committee, they gave her the Nobel Peace Prize, even though she's advocating for her own country to be bombed. U.S. obliged finally and bombed Venezuela, kidnapped their president on trumped-up fake charges, and he's in New York on a fake drug charge. And she's also called for Israel to military intervene and bomb her country. So, of course, naturally, you gave her the Nobel Peace Prize. And apparently, she didn't get the endorsement of Trump after they took Maduro out. And so she's given Trump her Nobel Peace Prize. So these are the two most undeserving people on the planet for a Nobel Peace Prize. It just has turned the whole thing into a complete farce. It's a joke. I mean, it was a joke when they gave it to Obama before he even became president. And the rationale they had was, oh, we want to encourage him. Well, they encouraged him to basically do 7 wars during his 2 terms. So great job, Nobel Committee. I think they even gave it to Al Gore for, I don't know, world peace, climate change. Not sure how those go together. But anyway, this has just gone from dumb to completely just stupid. This is just ridiculous. And they're calling her Venezuela's opposition leader. She's not. She's not popular in Venezuela. She's a CIA creation, a Soros, U.S. State Department, CIA creation. And there she is with another construct, this reality TV president I don't know, imperial Caesar at this point. It's hard to explain what's going on. We may or may not talk about Greenland. That's a whole nother thing. But here, if you want to get into now the beginning of the analysis, just go to 21st Century Wire. Freddie's done a nice breakdown there. Iran didn't erupt, it was ignited. The hidden hand behind a manufactured crisis. This is a great framework of analysis of what's happened. Again, this is up on our website. This is the type of content that we're producing. And we produce this content for a reason, okay? It's so that you can get a hold of these very complex topics, and we'll put it all into one place and structure it in a way that you can understand. That's what we do on this show as well. But we think it's important to have that written component and that written analysis. It's there every week. And this is an excellent piece. And Freddie's really done a nice job. It's very concise and not too long, but it's got all the main points in there. So you can kind of see what the whole story is, put it in perspective, bird's eye view, also important mechanisms for how the operation was carried out. So we got all that there. So you can start there. Now, what happened? So this was a classic regime change, color revolution operation, a destabilization operation. And the military strike was being prepared in advance, and because the color revolution failed, the violence that they carried out. These are agent provocateurs managed and inserted by U.S. intelligence, and Israeli intelligence and British intelligence were also involved. I mean, that goes without saying. When it comes to Iran, the United States and Britain are hand in hand. They have been since the first coup in Iran, which was a U.S.-British operation, Operation Ajax, if I'm not mistaken, to overthrow the democratically elected Prime Minister Mohammad Mossadegh at the time, because he wanted to nationalize the Iranian oil, and the British and the Americans said, no, you can't do that. You can't have your oil. It's our oil, they said. So they caused riots, just like we saw in the last week, 2 weeks. They caused riots, and this was back in '53, and it was very dirty. It was very ugly. But in the end, the U.S. and the British got what they wanted. They got the democratic government out. That was the problem for them. And they installed a puppet monarch called the Shah. And Shah was eventually overthrown in 1979 in an Islamic revolution. And all of the Iranians who supported the Shah fled to the U.S., to Europe, to Canada, where they've set themselves up, most of whom, in fact, I would say nearly all of whom are quite wealthy. These are not working class Iranians, all the monarchists, and have been looked after very well by the U.S. government, because the U.S. regard them as a fifth column that they can deploy during times like this. Just like they have a Syrian fifth column, an Afghan fifth column, an Iraqi fifth column, a Libyan fifth column. Wherever there's a war, the U.S. and the British, the Canadians, they keep, Ukrainians or whatever, they keep them in residence, and they use them either to create the future political class that they'll then parachute in. They put them through U.S., British, Canadian universities, French universities, and they keep them on standby for future regime change wars. That's how it goes. That's the neo-colonial system. So it didn't work out, but it was ugly. It was ugly. And even uglier was the misinformation and propaganda campaign that was carried out by our mainstream media, politicians, and all these so-called influencers. So let's get into it. So what actually happened? And so I'm going to break it down for you here, and it's important. We'll go step by step. Okay, U.S.-Israel operation to destabilize Iran. Okay, and just bear in mind, this is not the first go-around. Okay, they've been doing this perpetually for years. Okay, this was just the latest round where they tried to, the West, and when I'm talking about the West, it's the U.S., Britain, and Israel. Okay, mainly the U.S. and Israel in terms of the major contribution for the destabilization operations. And they want to create unrest, they want to create instability and momentum. And if they can get momentum, and then it's followed by a military strike, and then a decapitation of the leadership, and then regime change, hopefully. So it didn't work out. So step one, ongoing brutal economic sanctions of Iran. Just like Venezuela, if you watch this show in previous episodes, you'll know what an important element this is. Okay, ongoing brutal economic sanctions. This is economic warfare on the target country. Okay, the U.S. and its allies do this to weaken the country, and they even admit it now. They're not even hiding it. They say to bring suffering to the people so that the people will rise up and overthrow the, quote, regime. The regime, okay? Basically, somebody who is not, who wants to nationalize their industry or who doesn't want to use the U.S. dollar, they become a regime. Or that Israel doesn't like or feels threatened by, or in the case of Iran, a country that supports the Palestinian cause. That means it's a regime, it's a brutal dictator, must be overthrown, according to Washington and the Israelis, okay? So the ongoing economic sanctions, and the important thing, like Venezuela, and this is what really pay attention, okay? The West, led by the U.S., will destroy the target nation's economy, and then they will blame the economic deprivation, or they'll blame the unstable economy on the, quote, regime. And they'll say the regime is mismanaging and pocketing and siphoning off all the wealth and starving their people. It's the same script that the Americans use in order to demonize the Venezuelans, or to demonize the Iranians, or to demonize the North Koreans, or to demonize the Cubans, or to demonize the Libyans, or to demonize Bashar al-Assad and the Syrian government, or to demonize the Russians. Okay, they're stealing the wealth of the people. You know, so the U.S. and Trump especially, they have the absolute chutzpah. 2 weeks ago, Donald Trump is saying, no, Venezuela can't have its oil. It's ours. We're going to steal it. We're going to take it. And if they don't let us have it, we're going to crush them. And so it belongs to the U.S. So if you have resources in Venezuela, it belongs to America. And then with Iran, they say, oh, the Iranian regime's stealing all the oil money. This is while they're being sanctioned and cut out of the international money transfer system, not allowed to sell their oil to the West, tankers being hijacked by the British and the U.S., you know, Iranian oil's being stolen in some cases by the Americans, okay, like they do with the Venezuelans. And then they'll say, oh, no, we need to give the oil back to the people. So for the Iranians. I mean, it's not serious, but this is part of the game plan, okay? So they've established that, and that's been going on for well over 40 years in total, sanctions, and really intense in the last couple of years, okay? So that's step one. That's ongoing. Step two, CIA, MI6 cutouts, and Western NGO oppositions are created. Just like Venezuela, same thing. We're talking about the National Endowment for Democracy. We're talking about USAID-funded, Western-based NGOs. And the opposition is this monarch, Pahlavi, Reza Pahlavi, the son of the Shah. He calls himself a prince. So the leading candidate for regime change in the West to bring democracy back to Iran is a monarch. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It's comical. This is such a clown show. They haven't even got an opposition because the majority of the people in Iran support the government that is under economic siege by the West. Surprise, surprise. But don't tell this to people in Washington. It's too complicated for them. Anyway, back to the list. So they create their cutout opposition, and also the U.S. and the British and the Israelis will try to they'll try to fund and arm militant opposition within Iran, either in Baluchistan and the Baluchi various criminal syndicates who do a lot of weapons trafficking, by the way, into Afghanistan. So they will pay them, they will arm them to carry out terrorist attacks. The U.S. pays terrorists. They've been funding terrorism in Iran since the Bush administration. They spent billions of dollars, the U.S., to fund Jandallah and all of these, the MEK. These are terrorist organizations. And the U.S. funds them, arms them, in the hopes that they'll destabilize Iran. Kurdish separatists as well, funded, trained, supported by the U.S. They've been deployed as well as Israel, Mossad, which we'll show you. There's plenty of evidence of that. So just understand that's the so-called opposition, mainly armed terrorist groups who carry out bombings, assassinations, and just kill Iranians. And we say these are democratic opposition, which is a joke. So it's beyond laughable. So CIA, MI6, Mossad then insert Gladio-style terrorist cells inside Iran, which they used them back in June when Israel tried to decapitate the Iranian leadership back in June. And Wasn't successful. They did a lot of damage. They killed a lot of people, but they didn't get regime change. So here they're trying to do it again. And they do have covert cells. Iran's a big country. The borders are porous. And so we have sent in the jackals, much like with Syria, with jihadis pouring in over the Turkish and the Jordanian and Israeli border to destabilize Syria and create mayhem, violence, and killing. It's the same formula they're using for Iran. It's just a different terrain and a different sort of setup. So Gladio style is false flags, just outright violence in order to provoke police. We saw all this happen already. So step 4. So now comes, they've done this, and they have those set up, okay? They have the sanctions set up, number 1. They have the cutout Western intelligence-backed opposition set up, step 2. Step 3, they have covert cells ready to be activated inside Iran, step 3. Step 4, now comes the JCPOA Iran nuclear deal lapsed, and so the EU put snapback sanctions on. These are brutal sanctions from the European side in order to further punish the Iranian population. Why? We're not sure. You know, they don't give a straight answer as to what they're doing the sanctions for, because Iran doesn't have any nuclear weapons. Supposedly that's what it's for. So it's a kind of a criminal syndicate between the U.S., the EU, and Israel. So step 4, so they've done snapback sanctions. That immediately caused a hyperinflationary shock in the Iranian economy. I mean, the currency is already in free fall. And so number 5, here we go. Now I highlighted this because this was the active mechanism. So number 4 caused the first wave of the current wave of economic crash in Iran. Number 5, U.S. and allies attacked the Iranian currency, crashed the rial by 50% in the month of December. So the value just plummets and loses 50% of its value in December. Okay, how do they do that? You have trading desks and other offshore actors buying up large amounts of Iranian currency and then dumping it. Okay, if you do this correctly and strategically, you can cause a panic and a further crash of an already a currency that's already losing its value every year. Okay, so they did that intentionally, and that basically triggered the merchants to come out on the street in Iran, because they're, the price of goods on Monday or on Friday, Saturday close of business, by Monday everything's doubled. That's what happens when you're in a hyperinflationary cycle. This is intentional. This is a strategy of the U.S. to wreck the economy of the target nation and then blame the, quote, regime for mismanaging the economy. And, the Iranian people deserve better, says Mike Pompeo and Donald Trump and all these, Lindsey Graham, these clownish characters. So you can see how this is how it works, folks. And this formula has been carried out in a number of countries. So now we're in free fall. Then before the protest, Trump meets Netanyahu at Mar-a-Lago, basically to confirm their military attack on Iran. So it was all premeditated. All premeditated. Okay. So that was what happened after that. Then merchant traders, as I said, peaceful demonstrations in Iran. And then after 3 days, U.S., Israeli, UK intelligence, they co-opt the economic protests. And number 9, the protests shift to violent riots. Okay? Violent riots. And that's the plan to destabilize Iranian society and the government, the state, effectively. Okay? So you see those first 9 steps. That's what we witnessed over the last 3 weeks. Okay? Step by step. And I could play this out chapter and verse with Syria, with, they tried this with Lebanon, didn't succeed. But this has been done to Venezuela, aspects of this almost to the letter, with varying success. But never has there been so much money poured into a full spectrum operation of destabilization like we're seeing with Iran. So this is, again, a playbook, a formula, okay? So, and here is the U.S.-Israeli deception, okay? So Trump meets Netanyahu. They're planning their attack. The media's in the U.S. and they're saying, "Oh, they're just having a meeting." You know, of course, we knew it was coming. And then you see stories like this planted in the Washington Post. So we're teaching you how to read between the lines, okay? So normally one would look at this and think it's a normal story. Of course, when I saw this, I knew exactly what it was. I'll show you. And they said Israel and Iran secretly reassured each other via a Russian mediator that they would not preemptively strike. So communications between Israel and Iran last month, Russia played the role as intermediary, and the Israelis said that they would not preemptively attack the Iranians, and then the Iranians reciprocated and said they would not preemptively attack the Israelis. Okay, why is this? What does this story mean? I'll tell you what it means. This was before the protests, okay, or before the sort of wave of instability. So this is Israel's way of pretending that it doesn't have anything to do with what's going on in Iran. We're talking about the violence, the murders, the shooting by all these sort of Israeli intelligence assets, U.S. intelligence assets. Okay, that's what actually happened, by the way, and we'll show you. So, but this is Israel's way of sending a message to the global community that, oh, it's nothing to do with us. They had everything to do with Israel. But what they did is by doing this, it then turns everything back to Washington and Trump. And that's when all the influencers, these hundreds of influencers, thousands of influencers, are being paid to put out videos saying, Donald Trump, please help the people of Iran. Donald Trump, please help to save the people of Iran. They just want democracy. They want freedom. Please, Trump, only you can save us. Only you can save us, Trump. That's what the Israelis are doing here. Okay, that's what this story is. Okay, this is a deception. They're setting up, it's good cop, bad cop, WWF wrestling, basically. That's what this is. So, planted story creates a narrative, and it makes it look like the United States and Israel aren't working absolutely together, hand in glove, on taking the Iranian economy down, the society, and the government. Okay? So, the stage was set. So we go back to our list. Now we get down to the final call. Number 10, U.S., Israel, mainstream media, and funded social media influencer regime change propaganda. So then that was unleashed all over X and all over Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and all over the mainstream media. And Israel just gained control over CBS News recently through a Larry Ellison-led buyout, and they installed a rabid Zionist as the head of their editorial department named Barry Weiss. So they're pushing a lot of propaganda out of CBS News. So that's kind of Israel's beachhead now in the U.S. mainstream media. And CNN, of course, does their bit. I mean, they all, CNN sort of reported, they relented and took the Palestinian side after like a year and started becoming critical of the genocide in Gaza. But when it comes to things like this, CNN's right back, locks into position as a regime change propaganda outlet. So then number 11, Iran cuts the internet, jams Starlink. They caught, the Iranians report, and if you've seen the pictures online, it's quite impressive. 40,000 Starlink terminals were shipped into Iran for all of these, agent provocateurs, activists, and whatever. So they jam Starlink. So the color revolution, regime change fails. It fizzles out within 48 hours. And then millions of people, and this is the important part, 2 million people come onto the street in Tehran, and collectively millions more around the country in support of the government. Let me just ask you a question. What government in the West can call and get 2 million people out in the street to support it? Just name me one. Name me one. The only time you get 2 million people on the street in the West is people protesting a illegal war, like they did with Iraq, or like you're seeing opposing the genocide against the Palestinians. Okay, that's when you see millions of people in the West get out. Show me a Western government where millions of people will come out in support of the government. Iran is one such place. And this is why they basically blacked out that from the Western mainstream media. So they lost. The regime change flopped. It failed. They did a lot of damage. They killed a lot of innocent Iranians. They killed 100 police officers. They killed nurses. They burnt medical clinics. These violent rioters, armed by the U.S. and the Israelis, probably the British intelligence are involved, but definitely we say led by the U.S. and Israel, okay? They burned 200 mosques. They burned mosques with people inside. This is an Islamic country. Real Iranians do not burn mosques or burn Qurans, okay? These are outsiders. This is a Gladio operation. And these aren't democratic protesters. Democratic protesters don't go and beat people, innocent, elderly people in the street. And we'll show you some of the video of that in a minute. So anyway, now it flops, and then suddenly the U.S. and Israel were forced to call off or delay their airstrike on Iran. And that's where we're at right now. So I just want to focus on these last three here, okay? And this is the thing with good old Trump is so, and we'll look at, well, first of all, let's deal with here's Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, okay? We'll bring him up on screen first because this is setting up a narrative here. And so this is Trump's. I mean, when did Treasury secretaries do foreign policy? I don't think so. But it's become the norm with the Trump administration. So he puts this out on X, and this is just one of the worst pieces of propaganda that anyone has ever seen. It would be embarrassing, but I think we're past that point with what's going on with this government. So here's Scott Bessent. And this is very cringeworthy, and it's just so full of lies, but you have to hear it. Let's hear it.
My message today is to the Iranian leadership on behalf of the people of Iran who cannot speak for themselves. Last March, we predicted that President Trump's maximum pressure campaign against the Iranian regime would accelerate an economic collapse. Since then, our sanctions efforts have been effective in slashing oil exports and cutting revenue.
Okay, firstly, did you hear that? Maximum pressure sanctions, that their goal was to collapse the Iranian economy. Do you know how many people have died or how many people have suffered from this economic warfare? They're cutting off their ability to earn money, and Iran, to give power to its people, its citizens, they have nuclear power plants. Because the reason they have a nuclear energy program is because of sanctions on their oil by the U.S. So the U.S. did what? Donald Trump did what in June? It blew up their civilian nuclear power program or attacked it. They don't want Iranians to have energy until there's a pro-U.S. government in place. They can't even have nuclear energy. You can't be independent, according to the U.S. So Bessent just admitted this was collective punishment. They're not even hiding it. Anyway, we'll listen to what he's saying here. There's just so many incredible lies that are being told, but we'll bring this back.
The currency and living conditions are in free fall. The early warning signs are already flashing in the Iranian economy. The regime continues to egregiously mismanage its economic resources with additional subsidies and price controls.
Look at this. He just said that living conditions are in free fall because of U.S. sanctions. And then in the same breath, he accuses the Iranian regime of mismanaging their resources. So you're strangling the country economically, you're attacking it, you're bombing it, and then you're saying that the government's mismanaging their resources. I mean, it's so incoherent and so criminal. And they can't even they can't even contain their hypocrisy from sentence to sentence. First of all, the Treasury Secretary in the U.S. should never be putting out social media videos like this because it's very incriminating. Not to mention incoherent, but it looks like they put him up to it. Why can't Marco Rubio make this video? No, because they had to put somebody in here to blame them in case this doesn't work out. And Scott Bessent obliged, sadly.
The central bank is broke and printing money. Hyperinflation is next. Rather than build...
So he's admitted they have caused and triggered hyperinflation. So destroying society openly, destroying the economy, and then blaming it on the Iranian leadership. They did the exact same thing to Venezuela, exactly the same thing, and to Syria as well. And they won't stop until they get what they want, which is they want to overthrow the government and then steal everything that's not nailed down in the country. Seriously. There's open criminality.
Building a prosperous Iran, the regime has chosen to squander what remains of the nation's oil revenues on nuclear weapons development, missiles, and terrorist proxies.
Okay, that's a lie. There's no evidence that they're developing nuclear weapons. Zero. According to the United States government-owned intelligence assessment, Iran is not developing nuclear weapons. They don't have them. And yet he's still blaming them for squandering their resources when the sentence before he's boasting about collapsing their economy and pushing their currency into free fall. You can't blame the government for mismanaging the economy when you have got your hand around their throat, or better yet, your boot on their neck. It's completely incoherent. And this is what all these for-hire Quisling influencers all over social media repeat this basic script from Central Casting.
Around the world. Civilians are rightly protesting mismanagement and economic collapse. President Trump stands with the people of Iran and has ordered Treasury to sanction members of the regime.
So he just bragged about the U.S. collapsing their economy, and then he's saying the people are on the street protesting the collapse of the economy and blaming the regime, and they're sanctioning members of the regime and so forth. It's immoral, it's criminal. But what's more shocking is how many people are so thick that they can't put two and two together and listen and realize what's actually being said to them here. They've fallen for this psyop year in, year out with all of these countries. And with the terrible thing about Trump is what he's doing around the world. The great thing about Trump is now Trump is so sloppy and bullish that the agenda is so clear for everybody to see that they can't even gloss it over. The Democrats were really good at glossing the stuff over. But with Trump, it's all out in the open. And he's pushing out people like the Treasury Secretary, who shouldn't be making statements like this publicly, and really giving the game away. He's got his hands together the whole video, which is weird. But
Iran's leaders have brutally responded to peaceful demonstrations with violence.
So that's a lie. It wasn't the peaceful demonstrations were done, and in the third day, the Israeli intelligence, U.S. sent in armed Kurdish battalion, which ended up getting wiped out. They sent them in armed. So the violence was not peaceful. Okay, they killed. They have unarmed policemen in Iran called Basij. They're like specials in the UK. If you're British, you know what specials are. These people, armed and coordinated by U.S. intelligence, by the Israelis, killed almost 100 of these specials, which are unarmed police, sort of, peacekeeping police, like you have in European countries. They killed them. If you did that in America, if you had foreign-backed rioters in America coming in and killing 100 police officers, how do you think the U.S. government or the British government or the German government or the Canadian government, how would they treat terrorism on that scale? Do you think they would, back off and say, hey, have your little democratic picnic? No. They do what Trump is doing. They'd probably label them all terrorists and basically no holds barred. And we know that, and that's why you don't see that sort of thing happening in the West. But we're not a target of regime change by foreign powers. Iran is. So it's so hypocritical, and to even say it's a double standard at this point, it's almost ridiculous because it's laughable.
From mass shootings in the street to attacks on wounded victims in hospitals.
So he's lying. He reversed it. The U.S.-backed provocateurs, the Israeli agents, were shooting people on the street in order to create a firefight in which innocent bystanders were caught in the middle. That's what we've seen from the reportage. But Scott Bessent and the U.S. propagandists have reversed it, saying that the, quote, regime has done this. Then they'll say if there's body bags, or images of body bags in Iran, they'll say these are all innocent democratic protesters. Some of the body bags were police, dead Iranians caught in the crossfire, and also dead terrorists. I mean, it's clear as a definition of terrorism as you can possibly get. Anyway, we'll, I don't think I can't watch much more of that. So let's go on to look at, here's an example here. This is on just a really typical example of what I just described. So you'll see these armed maniacs coming in and beating an old man and setting his car on fire. It's probably a taxi driver or something like this. And there are too many of these examples, way, way too many. So let's take a look at this. So not very democratic, masked rioters beating up random Iranians in order to pull in the police and create crossfire. That's basically the game plan. And there's so many examples of this. This is just one. And I'll show you another important. So on the body bag issue, you'll see claims of thousands of bodies piling up. And we'll debunk that in a minute. But here's a good example of probably not being told on the Western mainstream media here. And this is Hadi Nasrallah, who is an excellent independent journalist based in, I believe, Lebanon. And he says here, the body bags you saw in Iran were mostly of these militants and mercenaries who were orchestrated by Mossad and the CIA, killed in armed confrontations. Calling them peaceful protesters, quote unquote, is a stretch. That's an understatement. And you see some footage here as well. So the Iranians aired all this on their national TV. They have video footage of these armed groups just shooting random people, you can see, They're given guns by our intelligence services and CIA, Israeli intelligence. Okay. And Iran was they even invited the ambassadors of the UK, Germany, Italy, and France to come and inspect the evidence. So our governments know this, but they're not saying it publicly, which shows you how dishonest our governments are. Instead, they make propaganda statements like the one we just saw, which is shameful. But these people don't care about the truth. They have an operation. They want to topple the government in Iran, and the truth doesn't even come into it for these people. They don't care. Full stop. So, and again, they'll say, "Oh, the body bags. Oh, have you seen the footage of the body bags?" I mean, that's all you hear. But they don't show you all of these terrorist attacks. Innocent people were killed by these thugs, these Gladio thugs that we sent in. Okay, jackals. Hundreds, thousands of them. Billions of dollars were spent on this destabilization operation already. Billions. That's without even the military attack. Okay, so we'll go back. We'll bring this back up on stage here. So this is important. Okay, once the internet was cut and the Starlink, Elon Musk's terminals were jammed, it died down. Proof that it was coordinated from the outside. Standard playbook. And the U.S. and Israel were forced to call it off because they didn't get the destabilization and the regime change. It wasn't weak enough for them to come in with a military strike, the hammer, if you will. So they had to call it off. And Israel's defenses weren't ready for an Iran retaliation. So they panicked. It's a delay. They're still planning to attack. Here's a Jerusalem Post. Mossad spurs Iranian protests, says agent within demonstrations using their Farsi account. Okay. They're putting out so much propaganda. So Israeli press have all admitted that Mossad is running the riots. Okay. So it's not me. It's Israel's own media. It's just one of many outlets. They're bragging about it, in fact. Mike Pompeo publicly stated this. Big Israel supporter, former CIA director. So this is beyond debate at this point. It's not a conspiracy theory. This is what's happened. Okay. And so here's Trump in his infinite wisdom, being the stable genius that he is. So Trump basically, and then they're saying, oh, there's going to be executions tomorrow. There's going to be public hangings. Okay. They're claiming that all these people have been killed, but there's no evidence they have. So Trump is basically, because there's no military strike, because they didn't get the destabilization, Trump is saying that, oh no, he's called it off because he told the Iranians not to massacre people and they stopped, and he's taking the credit for it. So Trump's taking credit for stopping a massacre that never happened and stopping public mass hangings that weren't going to happen. Okay, so he just comes in, because it's not happening, he claims that he stopped it. This is the incredible, this guy is unbelievable.
Killing has stopped. Who told you that the killings have stopped?
We have been informed by very important sources on the other side, and they've said the killing has stopped and the executions won't take place. There was supposed to be a lot of executions today, and that the executions won't take place. And we're going to find out. I mean, I'll find out after this. You'll find out. But we've been told on good authority, and I hope it's true. Who knows, right? Who knows?
Who is he told on good authority? I hope it's true. Who knows? Doesn't sound very certain to me, does it? Who told him? Was it Fox? Who was it? Was it Sebastian Gorka? Who's good authority? Was it Reza Pahlavi Jr., the Prince King in waiting? Like who? So you never get a straight answer out of this guy, because he's BSing and making it up as he goes along most of the time.
So how do you trust them?
So there's Trump. I mean, not surprised. Not surprised. So just an absolute circus. And you have people like Mark Levine another sort of bloviating hot air machine, the human hair dryer, Mark Levine at Fox. Zero talent, but gifted a primetime show on Fox, which is quite extraordinary because he's basically an advocate for, guess who? Israel, of course. So this is the Efran Soltani. This is the sort of face. They're claiming he was executed, all of these anonymous accounts on X. It's hard to verify whether this is true, but what's important is that you have mainstream media figures that are reproducing and amplifying random claims on platforms like X, okay? Which shows that people like Mark Levine and who work for all these U.S. outlets, they're not journalists. Because if they were, they would probably do a little more research. And they're saying authorities have blocked his family from visiting him in the morgue. And you have all these stories. And they just get faker and faker and faker. So whether this is true or not, who is this person actually? Because it was circulating on social media, therefore it's true. So this could turn out to be a construct. But the emotional wave, it's been used, and this will even be used by governments as proof of something that happened, even if it didn't happen. That's where we're in right now in terms of the propaganda and PSYOP. No one's interested in verifying anything. They're only interested in demonizing the Iranian government and using this as justification for a military strike and to keep sanctions on, etc. That's it. That's all anybody cares about. Not whether any of these claims are true. So, and meanwhile, they've threatened to kill, the U.S. has already threatened to kill the supreme leader. They think that that's going to be, something they can achieve is to assassinate their leader. And Trump, I can see Trump doing that. And then like with Maduro, and then claim that as some kind of a victory, like he did with the assassination of Qasem Soleimani, claiming that Soleimani was a terrorist when quite clearly he wasn't. He was fighting ISIS in Iraq, unlike the U.S., who did no fighting on the ground against ISIS. The U.S. had a hands-off policy when it came to engaging ISIS on the ground. The Iranians did it. They got rid of ISIS. The Iranians and the Hashdo-Shabi. And of course, if you fight ISIS, the U.S. will label you as a terrorist group. That's the U.S. government saying, don't you dare touch ISIS. The same with Israel. Don't you dare attack ISIS. Al-Qaeda and ISIS, they're ours. Those are our terrorists, says Washington. How dare you attack them? Okay. So here's U.S.-Israel operation to destabilize Iran. What comes next? Trump, needs a quick victory to repair the optics. Okay? The optics of this are not good right now for the Trump administration. The U.S.-Israel attempt to assassinate the Iranian leader, that's quite possibly what comes next. And repeated, quote, surgical airstrikes to wreck infrastructure in Iran, further damage the country, cause more suffering. Very moral. Continued economic siege sanctions, the, quote, Syrian model of weakening and destroying the target nation, that will be ongoing. Desperate U.S., UK will engage in more piracy on the high seas, stealing oil tankers, hijacking ships, claiming they're enforcing sanctions. Why? They want to escalate the war atmosphere. That's what the U.S. and the UK are doing on the high seas. Okay, that's what's coming next, just so you know. So we'll look at next here. And again, here expect the U.S. and Trump to pivot quickly to something new this week. So it looks like Greenland is the sort of main sort of area of excitement for this president. And also pivot to escalatory or strident talk against China, Cuba, possibly another regime change or threat of taking out another head of state in the Western Hemisphere in order to deflect from criticisms of failures in Ukraine, Gaza, Venezuela, and of course, the longer it goes without their military strike, is the Iran operation will be seen as a failure. So I think they could strike Iran in days. Days. I think they're desperate, but clearly there's a few things that are not in place. Would you rule out the United States using tactical nuclear weapons or allowing Israel to deploy nuclear weapons against the Iranians? I wouldn't rule it out. They're desperate. They're really, really desperate. And they're scared because they know Iran can trash Tel Aviv and all of the Israeli military facilities and U.S. bases in the Middle East. So they are a little bit trepidatious, a little bit scared. Certainly Israel should be scared. I'm sure a lot of people in Israel do not want to attack Iran because they know it's coming. When Iran it retaliates, they'll hit Israel very hard. And if the U.S. didn't come and bail out Israel during the so-called 12-day war, another week of that, and I think Israeli society probably would have broken up and collapsed. Definitely the Netanyahu government would have been out on the street. And probably a few 100,000 more people would have left Israel. But Israel put a moratorium. They did not allow people to leave the country while it was being hit by missiles. They're desperate because they didn't want to lose all their soldiers. That's how popular, they're about as popular as Zelensky's conscription army there. So we'll look at the influencers in a moment, but I want you to pay attention here. Regime change propaganda, okay? This is how this part of the operation works. You see, Elon Musk is an important part of this, okay? There's X. This is his platform, which the algorithm gives priority to all of the Iran regime change videos. How do I know this? They're all in my feed. I don't follow any of these people, okay? And that's for everybody. So they get massive traction, loads of views. If you put out fake news against Iran, you will be rewarded on this platform. If you put out truth and you try to do real analysis, you will be penalized. Starlink. Those are Elon's mobile internet terminals for low orbit satellite internet access. Okay. Now, so X and Starlink. Okay. They get internet access. So the CIA and the Israelis very involved with the distribution of Starlink in Iran. Okay. That's part of an intelligence operation. So with Starlink, you can get images of, fires or some kind of, protest or whatever, or violence on the street, and then edit it, upload it, and then it makes its way back onto X. Okay, so you can see that's the system. Elon Musk is in control or has his organizations have his hand in this propaganda mill, basically. And then the offshoot of this, of course, is like, an Israeli-aligned U.S. media outlet like CBS News, push those images there, and it just goes in circles. This is how the system works, just like that, okay? So just understand the process. This is a process. And they're just going to flood the zone with absolute garbage in terms of fake news, propaganda, and it's just endless. And they just won't relent. Again, I'll leave that up on screen so you can see. So, when Starlink came out, it was supposed to bring the internet to everybody. It turned out to be a military and regime change tool for the United States. And it can probably do a lot worse, quite frankly. This is the light end of Starlink. Okay? We can talk about that later. What the other things that they're working on with Starlink would really disturb quite a few people, even people that are, supposedly against the Iranian government. If you knew what they had in mind with this grid, this system, you would not support it. Even some of the biggest hawks would say that's too much. But and try to get them to tell you about all this stuff openly in public, and no, you won't. This is a military application. Information warfare, propaganda, regime change. That's exactly what it is. So let's look at some of the propaganda, because this stuff is just too much. It's like, Unbelievable. So you have all these well-heeled Iranians in Los Angeles just putting out crazy stuff. I mean, we'll just give you a taste of some of it. It's endless, and it's laughable, a lot of this stuff. Oh, and by the way, this is how you can tell that the military strikes were called off, because when you see Lindsey Graham, after basically being high, nearly orgasmic over the last couple of weeks about the prospect of bombing Iran again, this was Lindsey's reaction when he found out that it's not on, basically. So we'll bring this up on screen. Let me find Lindsey. Here he is. There he is. You can tell it was called off. Look at this.
Headlines out there that are, in my view, not accurate. President Trump's resolve is not the question. The question is, when we do an operation like this, should it be bigger or smaller? I'm in the camp of bigger. Time will tell.
Poor Lindsey. Poor Lindsey.
Hopeful and optimistic that the regime days are numbered. There are a lot of head.
So to lift his spirits, he bragged that he flew out to Tel Aviv just after this, and he was probably greeted with all sorts of party favors. And I'm sure Lindsey had a very, very nice time in Tel Aviv. He went to re-energize his spirits there, you can imagine. So yeah, it was called off. It delayed. It was delayed. So that's about as good an indication as any that. And then you had sort of absolute clownish propaganda. This is probably the worst thing I've ever seen. This is Ted Cruz. Even had theme music behind it. I mean, these people are so desperate.
Talk directly to the people of Iran who are standing up, who are demonstrating incredible bravery, standing against the Ayatollah and the mullahs, standing for freedom. Thank you for your courage. You need to know America stands with you. America stands with your fight, and President Trump has your backs. You are in our prayers. We are standing with you, and these tyrants will fall due to your incredible bravery. God bless you.
That's the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Again, these people can't embarrass themselves. I think they're just beyond. It's so cringeworthy. Ted, please. I mean, that was probably the worst one on the political side. And then they have these are the usual boilerplate Iranian opposition figures who basically have made a living shilling for regime change in the U.S. media. That's basically all they do. Here's one of them.
Of left and liberal in America, in Europe, is not an accidental silence. It's an ideological silence, because they believe that our suffering of the Iranian women, Iranian men.
What is she talking about? She is probably sitting in $1 million apartment in New York City, in Manhattan. Okay. And this is her shtick. This is her. She is a paid opposition figure sponsored by Uncle Sam, and totally hysterical and unhinged. And she's been doing this for years, just demonizing the Iranians and claiming that she speaks for the Iranians, and clearly she doesn't.
Thousands of people being killed or injured.
So again, the lies they're spreading about the mass casualties and who's responsible and how it all happened, none of the context. It's just bloviating, hyperventilating, crazed. These are the go-to opposition figures that the U.S. media have on speed dial. Crazy, crazy people.
Not like the thing that they can talk about it, because it will expose their hypocrisy, and it will expose that how they sympathize with our killers, with Islamist terrorists. When they see that.
So they're calling the government Islamist terrorists in Iran, when in fact we sent in the terrorists to kill actual Iranians. So this crazy woman does not speak for Iran, clearly. She's speaking from her Brooklyn apartment or whatever. She's hoping, cheering on the U.S. bombing Iran, which is going to kill many, many people like it did last time. Okay? These people don't care about Iranians. They care about helping to get a U.S.-backed puppet in power. And if it means killing, thousands of people to achieve that, then, they don't have a problem with that. These people are so crass and so immoral. It's, and these she's absolutely nuts. You'll see her on Fox all the time. Fox loves people like this. So it's just one of those sort of go-to people. So here is, I'll show you the Crown Prince. Let's look at the Crown Prince, Reza Pahlavi, as he is known. So let me see. Yeah, of course, this is CBS, the kosher broadcasting system in America. And so they've got the prince here. And so this is the guy that believes that he is the rightful ruler of Iran. He's never been to Iran since he left as a teenager in 1979. He's been living in the lap of luxury in the Maryland suburbs in Washington, D.C., a kept creature of the U.S. government, hoping to parachute him in for, that glorious moment that he's been waiting his whole life for, and he'll probably continue to wait, because I don't think it's going to happen, Mr. Reza Pahlavi, because, well, as he even to his own admission, he doesn't actually know anybody in Iran. So the idea that this is going to be the future king or whatever, I mean, it's kind of a joke. But here he is. This is very revealing what he says here. Listen.
And as you are urging people to protest and go to the streets, the death toll is rising in Iran. This violent crackdown continues just as it has in past attempted revolutions. I mean, is it responsible?
This wasn't a revolution. You see how CBS Israeli propagandists are framing it. They're calling this a revolution. So we fund and arm terrorists to come in like we did with Syria, like we do with other regime change operations, and then try to call it a revolution in our media. And here's their puppet that they want to install, who nobody supports and who hasn't even been to Iran, doesn't know anybody in Iran, prefers to live in the United States. But he's doing his work here.
Responsible to be sending citizens in Iran to their deaths? Sending citizens.
Listen carefully. She's asked him a specific question.
As in past attempted revolutions. I mean, is it responsible to be sending citizens in Iran to their deaths? Do you bear some responsibility?
As I said, this is a war, and war has casualties. In fact, in order to preserve and protect and minimize the death toll, minimize innocent victims yet again be killed by this regime, action is needed.
So this guy is so, this is sort of the cutthroat mercenary type. He has just called the protesters combatants. Did you get that subtle turn of phrase? He's saying this is war, and some people are gonna have to die for me, the king. So he's admitted they're combatants. If he hasn't admitted it, he's basically put them in the combatant territory. And we're gonna have to, the tree of the monarchy has to be, watered with the blood of loyal subjects, basically is what he's saying. This is a monarch who, so this is the democratic revolution. You've got a monarch puppet in Washington waiting to get into power, but nobody in Iran knows him or supports him. It's a clown show. And he's saying they need to die. So Iranians need to die for him to make sure he can come into power. So crass, so immoral. There's no limit to what these people, I mean, this is just insane. This is not the heir apparent, but it's all they have in Washington. This clown, Reza Pahlavi. Unbelievable, this guy. Let's see what he has to say. I mean, we'll listen to a little bit more, but...
The regime is going to try and brutalize its citizenry as it has always done.
So look at the imagery. So they won't tell you that some of these are innocent people caught in the crossfire of U.S. and Israeli agent provocateurs, as well as some dead terrorists. Okay. I mean, if you're armed, you're setting fire to mosques and buildings and hospitals, and you're shooting people, you're kind of a terrorist. That's a pretty safe sort of description of the... I mean, that's about as pure of a definition as you'll get. But anyway, these people, no shame whatsoever. So same video you can see here on heavy rotation. Everyone shared all this. Again, this might be, who knows what the context of it is, but there was no revolution in Iran. This was a destabilization operation. Make no mistake about it. Anybody telling you otherwise is absolutely lying. So speaking of liars, let's look at some of these influencers here. This is, here's one. This is sort of a classic sort of BBC, Sky News style bit of propaganda here. This is from Yalda Hakim. It's always some audio that's being played, mysterious audio to make it sound like or seem like this is some sort of secret connection or whatever. And a friend of a friend told me, and so forth. Literally making this stuff up. This is not, so this is a mainstream journalist here pretending to do journalism, but what she's really doing is hearsay and probably well-scripted propaganda, more likely.
It's so difficult to get information from inside Iran because of this ongoing internet shutdown and the blackout. But I've just spoken to a young man who has left the country. He told me some incredibly horrifying stories.
They were rolling the people up in small, there's so many children there, in small bags that they were throwing in two warehouses.
He told me about going to a cemetery where he believes there were somewhere between 1,500 and 2,000 bodies, including bodies of children, he said.
So this is just a guy in Germany who's telling her that he believes that there's 2,000 bodies piled up. There's no evidence of it. She doesn't even know if he was actually there. He claims to have left the country. It's just propaganda. This is classic Western regime change propaganda.
That there were black bags piled up on top of each other, and then trucks were arriving and piling more bodies on top of the existing bodies in this large warehouse by this cemetery. He was looking...
This is just intelligence services like propaganda, basically. There's nothing journalistic about this. I mean, if you had a real media outlet and you saw this person doing this, you'd never hire them. This is clearly just scripted propaganda with all the sort of, emotional kind of pulling faces.
For the friend of his brother's wife, and he...
The friend of his brother's wife, friend of my friend's brother's wife's roommate. And I'm in Germany, and trust me, bro, everything I'm saying is totally above board. So again, this is going via Sky News. It's just, it's all BS. Okay? This is not journalism. All unverified, all unconfirmed. All of it. But you have to believe it because the emotional wave is riding, and that's all that counts for these people. I mean, it could just go on and on. There's so much fakery. I mean, they even wheeled out Uri Geller. Uri Geller. I mean, when Uri Geller is putting out propaganda for Iran, I guess he needed the $7,000, but it's a joke. The whole thing is a joke. This is a clown show. Absolute clown show. And there's no shortage. They threw so much money at this. They threw, and maybe he's just doing it for Israel. I don't know. But Uri Geller. Let's see what Uri has to say. What's the script for Uri? Let's see. He's going to bend spoons.
President Donald Trump I am just shocked. I cannot believe what I just heard, what I just read. It's like, it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare what you just said. I mean...
So this is with the same stuff they did with October 7th. I can't believe what I just heard. Someone called me and told me what happened. 40 beheaded babies, etc. Absolute pure propaganda. This is just like not even good Hollywood.
How can you thank a regime that just murdered in the last, 2-3 weeks, 12,000, 20,000 people? This is outrageous. You thank the Ayatollahs? Donald Trump, I mean, what's happening to you?
So they're trying to get the Jewish Israelis to browbeat Donald Trump into an airstrike, basically. So they're deploying all these, because they know Trump's a soft touch, and when he sees celebrities, he sort of gets a little bit weak, and he might cave, basically. This is well known with Trump. Put enough pressure on directly on him with some high-profile people, and he might move. So that was the plan, I guess, that the U.S. would do the heavy lifting for Israel, and you have all these shills. So, I mean, just to prove to you how scripted this stuff is, there's another guy named Patrick Bet David, okay, PBD, okay, and he's just, I mean, he's been batting for Reza Pahlavi. He wants the king to come in because maybe Trump promised him an ambassador position in the new regime or something. Who knows what motivates these people? But he left Iran. He's a Syrian Christian. Left Iran when he was 11, which he believes qualifies him to be an expert on Iran. And just to show what a script these people are, this is the most ridiculous conspiracy theory that they have on why the stars have aligned, basically, he says. But then another Iranian wealthy influencer is reading the same script. Watch, just to show you how well organized all of this is. This will really blow you away.
But you know what I think is special about right now? Let me tell you something that's very special. I hope this resonates with you. You know what's crazy? How many years has it been since Iran was free? How many years? 47 years. Huh. The current U.S. president, what number president is he in U.S.? Oh my God, the 47th president. Maybe the stars are lined up for Iran to be free. And maybe the stars are lined up, but you need Trump for this to become a reality.
I noticed something interesting. Mr. Trump is the 47th president of the United States, and this is also the 47th year of the Islamic regime in Iran. History is speaking. Nothing is a coincidence. Isn't it strange how moments line up right before change? We are entering a new era. An era of fear is coming to an end.
So those were two separate videos reading the same script, and it's a joke. The whole thing is a joke. These people are ridiculous. There's hundreds of these videos. They spent millions on these influencers, millions. And Elon opened up the algorithm so all this garbage could flood into our feeds. Okay, and TikTok as well. So, I mean, it's a joke. It's a joke. It's hard to take these people seriously. But, you know, hey, it's a regime change psyop, so everybody needs to get on board with it. Oh, my God. Only Trump can save us. It's got a little bit of a QAnon type of air to it, if you know what I mean. So what they won't show you, obviously, is real Iranians and women in Iran. So we've looked at everybody in Hollywood and Montreal and Brooklyn, New York, but the Western media will not show you any women from Tehran. like this.
خودم به شخصه اومدم اینجا چون که اومدم پشت رهبرم باشم و اینکه هم تشکر کنم از در واقع نیروی امنیتی، بسیج، سپاه، نیروی انتظامی و بهشون بگم که قدردانشون هستیم و مردم ایران هم که خودتون میبینید همینایی که اینجان، اونایی که شبا این چند شبه از پنجشنبه که اومدن بیرون، اونا یه مش فتنه‌گر و آشوبگر بودن.
So just an example, and the whole hijab thing is a complete psyop. Okay, they're claiming that women get thrown in jail for not wearing a hijab. It's not true. Not in Iran. Okay, doesn't happen. In fact, there's Western girls putting up videos, like Syrian girls was in Iran a couple weeks ago. She's walking around with no hijab, as well as her translator or the person she's with. So, and you'll see plenty of videos of women uncovered in Tehran. So, you know, it's optional. It's not, you know, so if that's part of the propaganda, is to demonize Iranian society using women's feminist themes. Okay. So we'll go back to our propaganda here. So again, all these claims about casualties, mass casualties, Gray Zone's done a good report here on this. So you can go to their website, National Endowment for Democracy. That's a CIA cutout. Okay, that's where these reports are coming from. And then they're getting fed to Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, U.S. and Western mainstream media. And that's why you have this sort of situation where 2,000 massacred, then like an hour later it's 5,000, a couple hours later they say it's 10, then it's up to 20. I think I heard someone say it was 50,000, and another one called it a genocide already. It's stupid. Okay. And then mass executions tomorrow by the regime. Okay. Where's all this coming from? Oh, unconfirmed casualty numbers coming from Western human rights activist orgs. None of these groups are in Iran. These are all NGOs, mostly in the U.S. There's a list of them. Abdurrahman Borman Center for Human Rights in Iran. It's not in Iran. It's in the United States. Center for Human Rights in Iran is not in Iran, it's in the U.S. or in the West. Iran human rights activists in Iran, etc. Iran International News, okay, National Endowment for Democracy, CIA, Israel. That's where all these claims are coming from. CIA cutout fronts, State Department funded NGOs, okay. There's one, Iran International News. It's not an Iranian outlet. Israeli intelligence officials are on record. I think Ravid Barak, I think his name is, former intelligence head. He said this is a clearinghouse for Israeli propaganda. This media outlet. And this is, Google has prioritized this outlet, which is a clearinghouse for Israeli propaganda, for news on Iran. Okay, that's how this information system works. Big tech is involved in all of this, as is X, for curating propaganda for regime change. It's a military operation, and Silicon Valley plays a massive role in it. Okay, and again, this is Israeli. This is effectively an Israeli cutout media outlet. So when you see this, know exactly what it is. Okay. Just do a casual search. Again, you go online, you do a search, Iran human rights activist organizations. You'll get all of them. These are all Western. And they're all affiliated with those organizations and entities. Okay? That's where all the claims of mass casualties and human rights abuses are coming from. So we can send in terrorists. We can send in weapons. We can kill innocent Iranians. We can shoot unarmed police. And supposedly that's a democratic or democracy protest. It's beyond a joke, folks. And here's the influencers, $7,000 per post. Why is Israel paying $7,000? Responsible statecraft. This is well documented. The Esther Project is just one of many agencies recruiting online influencers, paying them massive amounts of money to post anti-Iranian or pro-Israeli videos or posts on social media. They're plowing millions of dollars into this. Millions. In fact, it's a bottomless budget. It's a bottomless budget. So now the regime change has stalled, so time to accuse Iran of launching chemical weapons. So this is Mario Nafal. Iranian regime may have used chemical weapons against protesters. So this is absolute disinformation and egregious propaganda. And just take a good close look here. So it says not verified yet, if you read closely, below the headline. Most people don't read the whole tweet. So he says, oh, not verified yet. And then goes on to say, but if true. And then goes on, source, GB News and Basil the Great. Basil the Great is an anonymous sock puppet account on X. So Elon Musk has elevated Mario to the top of X. Okay, he gets full algorithmic, unfettered access to feeds, allowed to grow, makes tons of money, and it's just disinformation, not verified yet. But if true, source Basil the Great and GB News. So what chemical weapons attacks? So if all else fails, WMDs. And they're pushing this garbage on the internet. So we'll get to the London protests in a second. We'll wrap this up as quickly as we can because I want to go to break in a moment. But so here's GB News on the chemical weapons canard. I mean, totally shameless. Listen to this guy.
Member of the Labour Foreign Policy Group, and I received a report just before we came on air tonight. I hasten to add this is not verified yet, but it's overcrowded with.
It's not verified yet. So he received a report which wasn't verified yet. Listen, if you say you're in government and you say you received a report and it's not verified, that means it's not a report. This is just like the worst propaganda, and they're pushing this out on a mainline television program. This is pure propaganda. Chemical weapons attacks, not verified.
Report to me, and it says the city's prison is overcrowded with detained and arrested protesters. The court halls are filled with families of detainees, and no lawyers are being allowed to defend those who have been arrested. People believe that some kind of toxic chemical substance has been used against protesters, causing some of the injured to lose their lives days later. The number of those killed and injured is very high.
Wow, this must be like Novichok. So you get exposed to the chemical, but you lose your life days later. It's sort of a delayed reaction, like with the Skripals. Must be Novichok, right? It's the only thing that the deadliest nerve agent known to man has a delayed reaction. Has to be Novichok. Magic, absolute magic. Again, everything he said, he prefaced saying it was unconfirmed. In other words, could just be made up. Why even read it? Why go to press with it if it's, quote, unconfirmed? This is pure regime change war propaganda.
If that is true, I think that's extraordinarily concerning.
Wow. So just to clarify on that then, Bill, that
if that's true, it's extraordinary. So it's just like social media rumors on news programs. I mean, these people are not embarrassed at all, by the way, by this. Zero journalistic standards. Zero.
the information that you seem to be getting there is from a credible source, so that the Iranian...
Incredible source, and it's unconfirmed. It's not an incredible source. So this anchor is buttressing his fake news of the person who's sitting next to him. This is like a propaganda circle jerk, is what it is.
Regime, the Ayatollah, might have used some sort of chemical weapon against their own people, against protesters, and we are now seeing a delayed reaction to that then. So we're a few days on from that, a couple of days on from that, and now we're starting to see loss of life as a result of that.
Yeah, I mean, look, you know, there's history in this part of the region. You look at Saddam Hussein, you know, who used gases against 5,000 people in Halabja and murdered them brutally, and I feel this has got...
So this is just so stupid, what this guy's saying. And I'll tell you, this is just, it's uninformed. He's clueless. He's citing Saddam Hussein in Iraq as some kind of rationale that this unconfirmed chemical weapons accusation that's just been magicked up might be true, because in the region you see these things. Somebody needs to inform this genius that Saddam Hussein used British supplied chemical weapons against Iran, against the Iranians. The Americans and the British supplied chemical weapons to Saddam Hussein, which he used in the Iraq-Iran war against Iranians. Iranians have been victims of chemical attacks. Victims. Supplied by Western governments. That's how clueless, when they're making their propaganda stories, they can't even, these people are so ignorant. They have a narrative and they're just going to push it. And even if it sounds clownish, they don't mind. I mean, you'd be embarrassed if, he would be embarrassed if he actually knew the truth, but I don't think these people care about facts or history. They have a narrative to push, and that's it. That's all they care about.
Real echoes of that.
Well, and where is our red line on this? Where is Trump's red line on this? I suppose that's the more pressing question, really, given that he's...
Where's our red line on this? Where's Trump's red line? Like Obama's red line? Are they going to allow them to cross the red line? Are we going to enforce the red line? I mean, here we go. This is so stupid. This is they push the WMD canard is like the last card to play. And you know what? They're going to keep pushing this because it's worked so well before. People believe it. At least people in the West believe it. So, I mean, it's just like ridiculous.
Would unquestionably be the one who would launch the first strike if there is one. You know, if this is true, no reason to doubt it. If this is true, no reason to doubt it. If this is true, no reason to doubt it? Is this journalism or what is this? Is this a student news program that we're watching here? Like, is this serious? GB News? Are you guys serious? If it's true, no reason to doubt it. Must be true. It fits our narrative, so it must be true. No reason to doubt it. True that chemical weapons have been used on the Iranian people by the regime. I think all of that might be the sign to do something.
But the key question is, what do you do?
Oh, that might be the sign to intervene. We can launch a military attack because chemical weapons have been used. How long are people going to fall for this canard, this propaganda? It's so ridiculous. But these people are not creative. They just recycle the same old tactics, even if they fail. And so here's Nigel Farage outside the Iranian embassy here. And I don't even think he understands where he's at. We'll show you. Look at this. So Farage is now active, calling for regime change.
Beautiful Persian people, you wonderful people, you freedom fighters. This time, are we going to win? Yes, we are. We're going to win. And it is a terrible price being paid by many innocent people in every Iranian city right now. But you've got to believe that this is the moment.
We really appreciate you. May God bless you, and we wish everything good for you.
Well, may God bless all of you, and let freedom for Iran.
So he's got the royal flag there, you see. So Nigel Farage is at a royalist party to install a monarch in Iran. So not very democratic at all, not on any level at all. So I don't even think he realizes that that's the monarchist flag, and that's Reza Pahlavi picture behind him. It's such a clown. It's clown world. It's clown world, folks. We are in clown world. And let's look at that London protest. Why the royal flag and the Israeli flag? Why do they have to go together? And this is what happened. These royalist protesters basically put 4 police officers in the hospital. They were violent, using violent tactics. These are the people. This was later after Farage spoke. So that's who Nigel Farage was with, violent protesters that put 4 British police officers in the hospital, 14 arrested. So really nice rally there, very democratic, very peaceful, right? Of course, GB News isn't showing this. If they are, they're not going to tell you why it's happening like that. So, I mean, we could go on and on. There's so many crazy examples of the stuff that we've seen. It's beyond belief. We might have a shorter overdrive than normal. We've gone massively overtime here. Let's go take a break right now, and when we come back, hopefully we got a few minutes with our teammates just to do a pretty brief overdrive session and look at some of the comments from our listeners as well. I'm Patrick Henningsen, your host. This is the Sunday Wire, episode 578 of this weekly omnibus program. I hope you enjoyed that deep dive. Certainly hope you've learned something as well. We'll be back in just a moment after this brief music break. Great tune here, great track from Red Rumble.
For in the final analysis, we all inhabit this small planet, and we are all mortal.
Lately I've been watching the world gone mad. Brothers and sisters full to take a stand, to hate their fellow man and other man. Divide and conquer is the acronym plan. Distract the people, control the story. Don't believe your lying eyes, you know me. Stay in power no matter what. Play with the doomsday clock. Turn a blind eye and gather your trust, pushing us to turn to good. Corruption and lies
welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Sunday Wire. I'm Patrick Henningsen, your host. We are streaming out live at 21stcenturywire.com. That's the mothership. That's our platform. Also at Alternate Current Radio Network. This is also our home as well. And this is a great community at ACR, at 21 Wire. We encourage you to join, to get involved as well. We're also streaming out on X. We've got a good community there, also at Rumble. And building up back onto YouTube, but only with your help. Like and subscribe this video. If you're watching us on the YouTube live stream or afterwards on the replay, we really need your help to activate the algorithm on YouTube to help to make our videos more visible, because we were locked for about 10 years at like 15,000 subscribers, and we're getting repeated strikes and so forth. And it's, you know, hopefully we can get back up and build our audience there, and we really need your help to do that as well. So this is the Sunday Wire, and we'll bring our teammates on to the live stream here. We went much longer than we normally do, but this is so complex, the information warfare campaign that's being waged against you. It's so complex that I had to do my best to break it down, okay? We have a great team at 21st Century Wire, and we can do analysis like this. We have the resources. We have the people. We got the brain power to put it together, like people like Freddie Ponton, for instance, and our other colleagues, who I'll bring on, our great colleagues as well. We'll break some of these issues down. But, you know, to do this, we absolutely need your support. This is a reader and viewer supported organization. This is an independent media platform, been going strong since late 2009, 2010. Started off with a very humble blog, and it built it into a very strong and extremely powerful independent media platform, 21stcenturywire.com. And we need your help. We're having a winter fundraising drive right now. We have to update that dial because we got some donations that have come in recently, and you guys, your generosity is noted. It's been fantastic. Your support is, we're humbled, and we can report we are over the halfway mark on that dial right now. We'll update this graphic. Hopefully, we meant to do that before the show, but we're just too busy working on the analysis to update the donation dial. But you guys have been amazing. And again, just go to the donate button at 21stcenturywire.com. It'll take you to this page, and there's different options there. You can also subscribe and become a member at 21wire.tv. Support us for just over $5 a month. Very affordable, but you guys are making it happen for us. And this is how we fund the operation for the coming year. And we have a bigger team now. We've got overheads. We are spending quite a bit on hosting and security and servers and so forth, CDNs. We have to do all of that because we have had forced takedowns before because of our reporting on war zones as well. So there's a lot that goes into this operation, and we need your help to make that happen. So I know you guys love this content. If you love what we do, you like this sort of content, the type of presentations we're doing, the information, the analysis, it's coming every day, every week. We're going to do a lot more. We need your help to make that happen in 2026. So now's the time. This is our winter fundraising drive. Get involved. Please get involved. Donate, subscribe, and become a member, or both. Ideally, both. But we've had a great response this week. Amazing. And last week and the week before. Thank you to everybody that's donated to us. And we read off some of those names previously, obviously just first names, so confidential, of course, but you guys know who you are. And we'll do that again next Sunday. So anybody that donates this week will recognize you next week. So again, thank you so much. Thank you. Amazing. We're gonna have a very successful year. I hope the world's still here and it hasn't been vaporized. The way things are going right now, let me bring on some of our teammates here. Hasher, Brian McLean, host of the Boiler Room, captain of the ship at ACR, the Starship Alternate Current Radio, and Ruckus, Adam Clark. You guys love the themes. I mean, your graphics, I'm jealous. I'm jealous. It looks good. It looks really good. Guys, I don't know how long we have for overdrive because I know you guys got to get moving. So, but I, what we've seen over the last week in terms of information warfare and propaganda, I've never seen anything like it, guys. I've never seen anything like it. And I had to do that deep dive. And I could have done a 10-hour seminar breaking down all of the different propaganda videos and debunking everything. It's so unbelievable. I want to get your just reactions and how you feel about what's been going on this week, specifically on this subject. Hesher, go ahead.
Well, I had to make I use the focus settings on my phone, my iPhone, right? So like I have certain times of day picked out where it's like, don't mess with me. And it's usually between 9 p.m. and 2 a.m. I'm chilling. I don't want to see geopolitical news, etc. But I do have it set to turn off at 2 a.m. and I'm a night owl. So at 2 a.m., all the notifications that would have come between 9 p.m. and 2 a.m. fly in. So if I'm up at 2 a.m., which I have been this week, man, that 2 a.m. flood is just ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. I can't even. It's hard to describe. People that haven't been dipping themselves in the toxic stew of social media, especially news-oriented social media until the last 5 years or so, have no idea. You have no idea just how insane what we're seeing right now is compared to pretty much everything else. I had to put it back on Do Not Disturb at about, I'd say, 5 minutes after 2 a.m. because it was just like, no, I don't want to look through, 5 hours, 6 hours of propaganda. Only just 6, I blocked out 6 hours of my day hoping I could chill. And it's just like, okay, this is untenable. This, for people that are absorbing this 24/7 and are latched on to, this narrative or that narrative because it gels with their identity politic, their mid IQ identity politic at best. Wow. What an onslaught. I mean, it's impressive. Talk about shock and awe.
Just to be clear, Hesher, you're not following any of the accounts that are serving you up this propaganda. It's literally being force fed. Is that correct?
Yes. I have one account that I follow like that just because it's my bellwether, it's my benchmark, and it's, I don't even know if I should shout him out. Why not? It's Mario. I follow Mario with notifications on just so that I can get a blip of like the most insane talking points that are coming out. And oh man, that's painful. That's painful.
Did you see the chemical weapons? I mean, did you catch that when that came out? I mean, I just thought, wow, you guys are desperate at this point.
Me too. I'm like, when are the incubator babies rolling out? I mean, we got the roving rape terrorists now, grape terrorists, I guess, YouTube, sorry.
Mass rape? I heard that. Mass rape now. Suddenly the Iranians are doing mass rape. Ruckus, where are you at with this? I mean, I've never seen anything like it. This even, I think, blows away the Israeli October 7th wave of, propaganda.
Okay, on the level of propaganda, I agree 100%. And to Hesher's point, I've seen a lot of it on my X feed too. And it's mostly because people, for some strange reason that I follow, are reposting it. So I'm just like, again, do I have to sit here and sift through who I'm following just so I don't have to see what they're reposting? Because yeah, for some time now, there's a lot of people and accounts that I've purposely not followed and have unfollowed. But again, I still have to see it. It's wild. And then even when I don't see it, it's like a lot of the quote unquote news or the alternative media, they're not even reporting news. They're just reporting or sourcing these tweets from these same people that, again, I'm like, I don't want to see all this crap. So what the hell is happening? So, but the wave of it, the amount of it, the ridiculousness of it, and again, I'm like, I thought we weren't doing this kind of stuff, right? Trump, I mean, geez, I mean, it's starting to look like, Patrick, it looks like it's very easy to predict what Trump is going to do next, i.e. every single thing opposite to what he said that he was going to do, because I thought we were not doing the regime change thing, right? But yet here we are. And another astonishing thing to me is the way that the public here in the United States of America has perceived protesters has shifted again to this argument between peaceful protesters and rioters and now armed terrorists in Iran. The armed terrorists, literally armed terrorists, setting fires to buildings and killing people and shooting nurses and attacking hospitals and schools and fun stuff like that, funded and armed by the Western outfits, the usual suspects. Those are peaceful protesters. Yet here in the United States of America, it doesn't take much to get labeled as a terrorist. Oh, say as a recent example, getting shot 3 times in the face by a trigger-happy murderous thug will do it, or making comments like what I just did on programs such as this, because we all know we've all been on a list for quite a while just because we speak our minds. But yeah, there's a giant disconnect here between what is truly a protest and what isn't. Yeah, it's pretty wild.
And have you guys seen they're trying to drive a wedge, saying, where are all these pro-Palestinian protesters? Why aren't they standing up for the human rights of the people in Iran? Is it because they're anti-Semitic and all they care about is hating on Israel? I mean, all that divisive, manipulative kind of politics they're pushing out through all these influencer videos. And but always pushing the narrative that these are embryonic democracy green shoots in Iran, and this basically it's like it's like the civil rights movement in the 60s in America, and they just want to move to the front of the bus, kind of thing. It's ridiculous. This is a absolute cut and dried template color revolution. I mean, this is like, we've seen it so many times. This reminds me a lot like Maidan in terms of how, that shows you how you can set up crossfire and, no one knows who shot who. And then all of a sudden the images get beamed out into global media. Boom, you got a narrative. Government must go.
Remind me the name of the documentary about the Maidan?
Ukraine on Fire. That's one of them.
Yeah, Ukraine on Fire, and then there was another one. Ukraine on Fire is Stone's, right?
Yeah, that's Igor Lepotinak, actually.
Yeah,
He was
okay.
the director, but Oliver Stone, he made it with Oliver. Yeah.
Okay, and there was another one. It was perhaps a little bit lower budget. It was in the Sunday screening for a while. Ruckus and I watched it a couple years back. I forget the name of it, but it's in the Sunday screening archives. And I highly, highly recommend that folks watch that. Especially I really liked your opening monologue when you were kind of showing the cycle, right? Like you were showing the traditional game plan, the regime change game plan, and then you added the layer that, is the technocratic layer, that cybernetic feedback loop there with X and Elon, the circular. Yeah, that one right there.
Yep.
Like if you really are new to this, if geopolitics have not been your bag, but maybe you've just been doing it 5 years. Let's just say COVID. There's a hypothetical viewer out there that was, sort of just, normieing along until COVID, and then boom, they got interested in stuff, and now they're in the geopolitics. They're watching Sunday Wire. But they may not have been with us for the last 10 or 15 years and have that cycle, the cycle of regime change and color revolution, Central Intelligence Agency, Mossad, MI5. We've seen all these things before, and we've talked about them before for many years. So for a lot of us, it's inherent, it's ingrained, it's just part of the worldview scaffolding right now. But for a lot of you, it's not, and that's understandable. It's it's confusing. It's not that you're stupid or unable to comprehend it. It's just that we're being flooded. We're being dipped in various toxic narratives here that are meant to pull you in one direction or another based on your base level identity politic. And if you really want to study this, you can do it pretty quickly just by watching a couple of those documentaries. And I hate to be one of those people that say, watch this documentary, it'll change your mind. It's never that simple. It's never that simple. But it's a great example of on the ground. Yes, that one, Burnt Alive in Odessa, 2021, for you audio listeners out there. Look that up at 21stcenturywire.com in the search bar. and you can get a really on the ground sort of perspective of just how chaotic and confusing these events are when they go down, and how polarizing they are, how horrific they are, how they draw you in or repulse you away with the narrative. You know, it's really enlightening to kind of watch this and see how it was done in Ukraine, and that laid the groundwork and sowed the seeds for what we're seeing in Ukraine now. And when you think about that, I mean, you know, by many estimates, more than 1 million people have been killed in a war, you know, that started sort of with this event. This was at the very least a benchmark event that led to what we see now. And we were around, you know, within not long after that saying, hey, I think this is wrong. You know, I remember the first time I started, you know, the hypothetical viewer I'm describing, that was me. That was me a long time ago. And that was right when I met Patrick, or, you know, shortly thereafter, and worked with him and watched, you know, multiple Sunday Wires about Ukraine and about the what happened in Maidan and at that building there that's shown in that documentary. And it is supremely enlightening. Like, you really start to realize just how far global powers will go to do regime change, and how they do not care who it hurts, who it destroys, who it kills, how long the austerity lasts, any of that. They don't care about people. They don't care about people in Ukraine. They don't care about people in Palestine. They don't care about people in Iran. It's all about money and power and the global grand chessboard.
If Ruckus, if you can put that back up on screen for a moment. So I know the film. I worked with that film production company, and we did the MH17 investigation. I was meant to fly out to Donbass. That was when it was Ukraine, and COVID happened. So I was getting ready to go, and then the lockdown happened. So we didn't finish making the sequel to that film about MH17, but they made this, Burned Alive in Odessa, which was released in 2021. Let me bring that back. So the survivor of this, I met one of the survivors, and he fled to Germany, okay? He escaped the building, you guys. And the people that jumped out, the Nazis, U.S.-backed Nazis, set the trades union building on fire with people inside it. And those who jumped out of the first or second floor were then beaten with clubs by these Nazis. Imagine jumping from a burning building, then beaten on the ground. You're already hurt after jumping. And I met one of the survivors, and he was sanctioned by the EU. Sanctioned. Because he went against Zelensky. A survivor of this massacre was sanctioned because he went against the narrative of Europe. Can you believe that? His name's Oleg. I met him at the MH17 conference, press conference during the trial in Amsterdam Schiphol Airport. I was there. I moderated a panel discussion on that in 2020, early 2020. And Oleg, I mean, imagine that. He can't go back home. He can't go back to his country. The great democracy of Ukraine, right? That's the reality of it. If people knew and understood this, it's a joke. The whole narrative that they've created on Ukraine is a joke. So I did this kind of step-by-step here. This is 12 steps to where we are, just to give people an understanding of how it rolled out. And you can go a lot deeper than this, obviously, but you know that if you missed any of this, it's in the first hour or first 90 minutes. And just so people understand.
True story, Patrick. I was listening to that part only as I was getting ready and whatnot, so I wasn't paying attention to the screen. And as soon as you started listing out this process, I was all, oh, the only thing that's missing are the chemical weapons attack. And I laughed out loud. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, he's got to be kidding. And no, seriously, they went there. So yeah, I mean, it's just so many of these telltale signs. It's really brilliant that you laid it out like that in a slideshow digestible format. That was brilliant.
You can't make it up. And there it is. There's the chemical weapons, you guys. So it could be tear gas, and they're saying it's unconfirmed. It might be. Source, Basil the Great. It's like a sock puppet account, one of Elon's favorite accounts, Basil the Great. You know, I mean, not verified, but if true, yeah, source. And I showed you the GB News clip, you guys. I mean, talk about clown world. These guys make Fox look like a serious media journalistic outlet. GB News. What a bunch of clowns.
One thing I love about high tension geopolitical moments like this and torrents of propaganda is just the emperor wearing no clothes at the mainstream news sites, you know, especially whichever outlets support the current administration. It's so funny watching them try to double down on the most ridiculous, imperialist, evil crap you could ever imagine.
Look at this. Prisons reportedly overcrowded with detainees. Well, yeah, if you send in 100 armed thugs to kill people, the prisons are going to get overcrowded, just to let you know. It's going to happen. So they just thought that the Iranians would just fold. So anyway, it's insane, you guys. It really is crazy. Let's look at, let's see what our mob are saying here. Yeah, I was talking about Odessa. Yeah, well, don't use the word Holocaust. We might get, that might trigger the ADL's AI. Yeah, tear gas technically is a chemical weapon. I've been in a tear gas attack, you guys. It's not pleasant. It's not, it hurts. It really, really hurts. You can't breathe. Your throat swells up. So,
but did you die days later?
Then it could only be Skripal and Novichok if it's a delayed chemical.
Didn't they make the same argument about one of the U.S. Capitol officers in the J6 thing or something like that? I could have swore something.
Yeah, something like that. There was that. Yeah, delayed. Yeah, it was Brian Sitnick. If I'm not mistaken.
he had a heart attack like 2 days later, and they tried to blame it on the protest / whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, it's not serious. It's that sort of BS. Get Mariana Spring on the case. Yep, BBC Verify. So thanks CBS, X, and Starlink. Your truth will free me from thinking, says Martin Maher, 1965. You guys are so on it. Yep. The Shah and Savak were like beloved. That Savak is the Shah's secret police. They're sort of like the Stasi in East Germany, trained by the U.S. and trained by the Israelis, believe it or not. The secret police in Iran, the brutal secret police, were trained by the Israelis. Hello, why do you think there was a revolution in 1979? The people had enough of it. But don't tell that to Reza Pahlavi, the good king. He's waiting for a donkey to take him into Tehran. Oh, how far we fallen, says the cunning linguistic. It's a very, very questionable profile name, I just want to say. So what do you guys think of Lindsey Graham? Has really had an emotional roller coaster of a week. What do you think? He had to go flee to Tel Aviv.
He prematurely eradicated.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a bit early for him to go to Tel Aviv because Pride Month is in June, isn't it? Anyway, just saying.
He needs like attaboy trips, I think. You know, if anything goes wrong in his little political Zionist life, it's like he has to run back to the homeland and, you know, get his little Scooby snacks or whatever they give him over there that keeps him going.
So Jill Braham 8202 saying Lindsey Graham has NBPTSD. That's non-bombing post-traumatic stress syndrome. That's pretty much it. They pretty much nailed that. That's basically what it was. I've never seen him so deflated. Did you guys?
Just dejected. That footage was hilarious.
We have to watch that again. We have to watch that again. I mean, I've never seen Lindsey. You saw what a high he was on when the bombs were dropping on Venezuela, and then Trump said he was going to take on in the Iranian protests. He literally, I don't want to say it, I don't want to get lurid on air, but you know, he was overly excited, let's just say. There he is.
Headlines out there that are, in my view, not accurate. President Trump's resolve is not the question. The question is, when we do an operation like this, should it be bigger or smaller. I'm in the camp of bigger.
Lindsay likes bigger.
I'll just pause it there, you guys, right there.
Yeah, the Beavis and Butthead in me can't get out of that connotation of what he might be implying there about what he likes bigger. I don't like it. It makes me sick.
He looks like he's coming down off a 2-day bender. I mean, he does drink, doesn't he? I heard he does drink.
So is this before or after he went to Israel? Is this the Israel hangover?
Well, you got to pronounce it like Lindsay Hesher. It's Israel. Israel.
Is this the Israel hangover?
Israel. This is before Israel. So I think they wanted to lift his spirits and, the clubs and all the fun entertainment that he can enjoy in Tel Aviv. Being a very liberal city, Lindsay, it lifted his spirits, and he came back with a bounce in his step. If you saw him when he arrived back, he was a bunch better. He was a more happier Lindsay, and so BB looked after him. They know what Lindsay likes. Let's just put it that way. That's
they
what those trips to Israel.
The batteries in his toy that he likes that he picked up from Rabbi Shmuley's company.
Oh, did you see Rabbi Shmuley's Iran videos?
I did. I saw one of them. It was great. What a comedian.
But he's dead serious, though. You're laughing at it. We're laughing at it. But for Shmuley, this is like, oh my gosh. Do you think he did that for free?
7,000. Yeah, I was going to say he doesn't need to take money to do that. He likes doing that.
So we'll drop Lindsay there. I mean, I've never seen him that deflated. So yeah, definitely the airstrike was off. You could tell. I know we sanctioned you for 20 years, but you need to have spacious prisons, says Penhog 2207. Yeah, that's true. It's just such a clown show. Wow. America was founded on people oh, look at this. America was founded on people fleeing religion. People forget that. Yes, so true. The Mayflower was full of religious zealots and people who were, and Quakers who, yep. So let me see what else is going on here in the chats. So, chat, you guys, the people of Tehran, oof, I like this. Rupert Fellows. The people in Tehran aren't getting any of Newland's cookies. It's not that type of event, Rupert. Clearly, Victoria and her bag of Mrs. Fields. Those were the good old days. Cookies, and then the bullets flew. Who knew?
Now the X-Posts fly.
Yeah. Yeah, the propaganda. I mean, and there's just, oh God, it's like the Los Angeles. And here's this one guy of this. Yeah, this is a classic. Let's just say this is more of a sort of flamboyant appeal. I'll just put it that way. And we'll bring this up here. This guy should get he's in Los Angeles. He's a concerned Iranian in LA. He definitely deserves some cookies from Victoria. Here, let's bring him up on screen. I mean, he is really passionate, you guys. He's made many videos like this. We'll just play this here. His name is Matthew Noriel. So I don't think he's ever been to Iran, but he's Iranian, and he definitely wants regime change.
The anti-Israel crowd is suddenly outraged because Israeli officials have insinuated that they may be helping arm Iranians in their fight against the regime. That's what you're mad about? Not the 12 to 15,000 unarmed civilians who were slaughtered in the span of 5 days. Not the people massacred with military-grade weapons just for demanding the same basic rights you take for granted and abuse every day. If you actually cared about the Iranian people, about a very real and popular uprising against a brutal supremacist regime, you'd be grateful that anyone is willing to stand with them. But you don't actually care about Iranians. And for those of you who are Iranian and still pushing this garbage propaganda, you're a fucking disgrace. You care more about hating Israel than you care about the Iranian people or their very real struggle for liberation. And
So you see, he's trying to put the wedge in between Palestinian supporters. So would you guys be surprised if you scrolled down his feed and you found Drag Queen Story Hour? Just saying. Yeah.
I would expect it.
Yeah, that is this guy. That is this guy, just to be clear. But so they do tap a certain type of people in the West to support the overthrow of the Iranian government and Syrian government. And they play the LGBT card hard. And that's why you see the saying, oh, this isn't safe for gays, because the Iranians are throwing them off the buildings. They said this about Gaza and Hamas. No gays have been thrown off buildings in Palestine. I can tell you that. It's never happened. But this is how the West mobilizes demographics to do activism based on identity politics and social justice themes and so forth. This is just one example. So, I mean, he claims to speak for the Iranians. But listen, Iran's a conservative country. You know, like a lot of Middle Eastern countries, they're very conservative. Venezuela is very conservative. They don't like drag queen story hour in Venezuela. It's a very conservative Christian country. So even gay marriage is not officially legal in Venezuela. Hence, the globalists do not like those types of places. George Soros definitely doesn't like them. But somehow Trump wants to Trump supposedly is a conservative and is anti-woke, but he wants to overthrow the most anti-woke government in South America, which is Venezuela. Try to make that, square that circle for me, please.
Hey, Patrick, did you happen to catch I saw these posts going around. People are catching on to James Lee's technique of, watching Google Trends for certain things and kind of trying to, back search or front search something that has happened or is about to happen. I noticed this week when we were in our back chat the other night, a few nights ago, and I noticed that. Oh gosh, what was I going to say? I totally lost my train of thought. I'll get back to you on that. I saw something in there where I was like, wait a minute, what the heck? Oh, no. I'll get back to you. Hold on. I'm going to see if I can find it. James
Lee, Google search. Was there?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Here's what it was. So somebody was searching the attendance at the gay bars in Washington, D.C., and noting that the nighttime attendance at the gay bars in D.C. had completely dipped, and people were starting to bet that a strike was going to happen in Iran because so many people that work in the government are gay, and the fact that the gay bars had a low attendance that night, people were using as a metric to go, oh, something's about to happen.
Wow. Who did that analysis?
I don't know. I'll see if I can find it. I'll link it to you.
That's some 5D chess right there, bro.
That's Grok expert mode, probably. I don't know, man.
Expert mode. I mean, that kind of that's real logistical, makes sense, actually. Logically, it does make sense. So yeah, that's useful AI action there. Here, programs seem to be a feature of the empire and not a bug. There's a Greek word that beings with H that means sacrifice by fire. Just saying. Okay. Yes. Duly noted. Eat your groceries. Well, there's a lot of Lindsey Graham stuff coming in here. And Lindsey Graham is now on antidepressants and then some. Let's not pick on Lindsey, you guys. Again, look at all this just absolutely tearing Lindsey apart. Lindsey was so close to climax, but oh my goodness, I cannot. This is just a family show, you guys. Stop it. Lindsey's doctor told him he had ED. You guys, come on. Just let's get to some serious political. If you've got a political comment on Lindsey, has he been crying? Probably in private. You guys look like he was bawling that the airstrike was called off. What do you think?
Yeah, it did. That sigh that he let out there in the beginning of that statement that you played is so telling.
Trump probably said, "Look, Lindsey, it's going to be okay. Look, BB's sending over the jet. You're going to Tel Aviv for the weekend." He immediately perked up, and his cheeks went rosy, and he was so excited. He was bragging on social media. I'm stepping onto the plane, and then another tweet. I'm in the plane flying, and then I've just gotten off the plane. He did a whole series of tweets about his weekend in Tel Aviv. So good for Lindsey. He looked like he was really stressed out that there wasn't a war on. So we're happy for him, right?
Yeah.
Hey, Patrick, I know you're doing the comments, but I thought this was very important to bring to your attention in case you missed it. Did you see this or hear this report that's allegedly out there about how, lo and behold, oh no, Trump may have secretly suffered a stroke? We've been, dancing about the issue about whether or not he's mentis compass, as it were, mentally fit and ready to be doing what he's doing, so I was just curious if you had heard anything about that.
Yes, I hadn't heard anything about that specific story. I saw some other crazy stuff, which I didn't put in my first hour, but here, this is a person here, Marianne. I'm a Muslim woman, and no way that Muslims will burn their mosques. Yeah, it's pretty obvious. So these weren't Iranians, clearly. They were from the outside. Yes, Ruckus. Having said that, Ruckus, I have a clip from Trump, and I want to bring it up on screen. He looked really, really not well. And this was right after, during the Iran, when the Iran thing was going on. Oh my gosh, Photon Belt. Laura Looper's surgeon will cheer him up. Oof. Yes, I know. There is that. We won't go there. But so here's this clip, you guys. Just take a look at Trump and tell me if you think that he's sort of lagging pretty hard on this.
Election in Venezuela. Did Arab and Israeli officials convince you to not strike Iran?
Nobody convinced me. I convinced myself.
But the hair, he's just kind of looking like a haggard old man at this point. And he's, I don't know. I don't think he's doing that well. He is 80 years old, guys. So like Biden, it's basically 80. Some people are spry and have a spring in their step at 80, but Trump doesn't appear to, and neither did Joe Biden as well. So, yeah, we're still in the era of geriatric heads of state in the U.S. But I don't think the answer to that is putting in a 41-year-old like J.D. Vance in charge, who is basically a kid for all intents and purposes.
Do you think that's the plan moving forward, though? Is this the last octogenarian president because it's just not going to fly with the majority of voters anymore?
Yeah, geriocracy. Yeah, gerontocracy. Yeah, you got it, Kim. You got it. Oh my gosh, look at that PFP. That's scary. Looks like The Mask. Remember The Mask?
Yep.
With Cher, starring Cher, and yeah,
absolutely.
I have no idea who that picture is, you guys. I don't know. I've never seen that before. That resemblance of that PFP there, Kim Jong Billy. It's very, very scary, though. It's very, very scary. So yeah, Trump is not looking. He's looking worse for wear, you guys. He's looking worse for wear. Donald's not looking good. Not looking good. So anyway, he should be on a high anyway. He's been bombing, invading, kidnapping. Domestically, you guys, he's wanting to mobilize troops, federalizing the National Guard. How do you think that's going to end up? Probably more social. Did you see the crowds are getting quite rambunctious in Minnesota? Quite rambunctious. And what did you expect? What did you expect? That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, easy to predict. So easy to predict. One must ask, is this on purpose?
Yep. Trump strokes out. J.D. Vance takes over. Well, that's what Eat Your Groceries is saying. Trump strokes out. J.D. Vance takes over.
Patrick, there was like an ICE agent's vehicle that was recently raided. Did you see that? And they stole a bunch of their documents and doxed some people, but they took a rifle and all sorts of equipment and things like that. And immediately the response from the conservative media, not even from people inside the government, was Trump needs to do the Insurrection Act. So we had folks here clamoring for that, which probably
and he's threatening to do that. Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah,
See?
Trump said he wants to invoke the Insurrection Act. So, you know, but that's okay. You know, we're actually stoking an actual insurrection in Iran with sending in armed battalions.
Yeah, hoping for one in Venezuela, hoping for armed insurrections all over the place, fomenting them, sending money, sending intel, sending weapons, training people. It's, you know, this is just like, again, you know, open imperialism, open empire, just, you know, showing us what they're doing, who they're doing it with, what their plans are, you know. Riviera on the Gaza Strip, all this crap. It's just like, wow, you guys, thanks. At least we're honest now. At least we're somewhat honest. I mean, the propaganda's still flying, but if you can peel through a few layers of it, hey, we're doing imperialism. We're doing brutal, technocratic, global imperialism.
Here's yes, the Caesar theme or the Caligula theme, whichever the case may be. Yeah, it's definitely a Caesar moment, Ruckus. And so just eat your groceries. The rest of his comments, interesting, you guys. J.D. Vance takes over. Palantir has their president. I'm going to take that a step further, gentlemen, that Palantir becomes president. You know what I mean? We're in a full technocratic government there. Barron takes over after Vance's third term. That's the idiocracy right there. That's Mountain Dew watering the crops and President Camacho at that point, right? Podcast president, Barron Trump.
Yeah, I worry, you know, obviously Trump's not going to last much, you know, throughout the whole thing, I don't think, but we'll see. But yeah, Vance as an option. But I mean, the way things are going, you know, it's almost like Trump wants to be the one to usher into, like, you know, he keeps talking about, he says it in these conversations about people not voting ever again. So I'm just like, I think he wants to be the one to institute the technocracy, to have the AI run government, not so much Vance. Maybe Vance this whole time is some sort of red herring. I don't know. We'll see.
T.G. Wilson, AI senators in 10 years. Dr. Theopolis. The Council of Elders.
Why not?
AI.
Yeah.
People would go for it. At this rate, I think people would go for it. Everyone's just checked out intellectually. It's kind of getting to the point where it's getting scary how disinterested people are in the truth. Have you noticed this?
Oh yeah, that's the thing. So many people have told me I just can't do this. I can't. I'm checking out. I don't care anymore. There's nothing I can do to change it. I mean, you know, even people that have been, you know, in our circle for many, many years are like, you know what, I'm out. This is just too much clown for me. Like, what's the point?
Trump has slapped NATO with 10% tariffs this weekend until they sell him Greenland. Now, you'd laugh at that, wouldn't you? A while back, not so long ago, maybe a couple months ago, you'd say that's crazy, or a year ago. That's actually happening. This is, we are in very strange territory. As Jon Stewart said, he said, well, I'm taking it because China and Russia are going to take it if I don't take it. And listen, Jon Stewart, God love him, he's back now because these people have made their bones against the Bush administration. So they're all those comedians are back. The Onion's relevant now. And Jon Stewart said, hey, I got an idea. If you want to keep it out of Russia and China's hands, why don't we do an alliance, a North Atlantic alliance? Why don't we call it the North Atlantic Treaty Alliance? We all band together, and that way Greenland will be safe. Why do you need to take it? Well, they need to take it for other reasons because of the rare earths. They want to do AI data centers up there, geothermal heating. Ronald Lauder, Estee Lauder Air wants it. He's already got dibs on mining stocks, and he told Trump to buy Greenland in his first term. That's where it came from. Billionaire Ronald Lauder, who happens to be president of the World Jewish Congress, but that's just a total coincidence. It has nothing to do with anything. There's no conspiracy there.
Of course.
Did you guys see Gavin Newsom do a podcast with Ben Shapiro?
I don't know if I saw that one. Was that this week or was that
the last couple of days? Yeah.
Thank God I missed it.
Newsom has his own podcast with a neon light. I mean, that's not weird, isn't it? The governor of California.
Yeah. And he appears on the Sean Ryan show early on in, you know, his little production to sort of boost it. How sick is that? Sean Ryan, what a shill, what a D-bag, what a loser. I mean, goodness gracious, to bring one of the top 5 most anti-2A governors in the entire country and put him on your silly CIA podcast, talking to you, Sean Ryan, and give him a Sig Sauer pistol and then have a chatty little jokey talk about how, oh, maybe he can and maybe he can't carry it in the state that he governs, and then let that guy sit there and say he's pro-gun. You are a idiot, and you are the worst, man. And on top of that, I don't know if you caught this, Patrick, but the person that came to fame on his show, our favorite CIA agent or right? Wink, wink, CIA agent Sarah Adams has her own podcast now. Yeah.
What's that? She got her own podcast?
Yeah.
Yeah. So warning against Hamas cells, sleeper cells in America.
Oh, yeah. All that. And she's engaging in the Iran stuff this week, too.
You guys, I think and listen, you see Photon down here? You see that? We're not far from that.
They're seeding it. They're telling us they're going to do this too. They're basically telling us it's coming.
That will be the perfect distraction, an alien disclosure. There'll be a perfect distraction for an economic collapse and a currency reset, something crazy. Everyone will be poor, but they'll be like, "Oh, I'm poor, but the aliens, the aliens."
I'm poor, but the aliens dropped me a new VR headset that I can sit in my little coom pod and watch VR porn on. That's all I'm going to do. The rest of my life is collect UBI coins and take drone drops from the aliens as long as I stay in my house and behave.
Yep, we're in the era of privatized global currency wars. The same oligarchs are controlling us and shifting their power to the east. Yes, you know, they may even liquidate Israel. You know, that's not out of the realms of possibility, although Pax Judaica, the Greater Israel Project, seems to be in full swing. But the rug could be pulled on that. You know, here we go. Will Project Bluebeam be aliens or the Antichrist? It is kind of wrapped up in that question, actually, with the technology that's available. You could do a massive drone swarm and have God talking. I mean, I've seen the stuff in China they're doing with the drones, and it looks pretty crazy.
I think the original origin of the Project Bluebeam theory involves the faking of a second coming of Christ. Yeah, 100%. And then the alien stuff, I don't know how that got all worked in there along the way. But yeah, for the longest time, there are people who, like me, who suspect that they're going to fake an alien invasion. I still believe they're going to do that, that they have access. We, human beings, have access to technology that we're just not aware of because things are, depending on who you talk to. And this is coming from people who work inside of these industries, for former people inside of NASA, CIA, military, you name it, and they're all like, yeah, no, we're 50 years ahead of what the public knows. And like, you use your imagination and you learn about what they were doing post World War II, and you know, the nasties who then became scientists, and you know, oh, magically now we can fly to the moon, look at that, you know, weird stuff like that, you know. But anyways, we all know space is fake and the earth is flat, right?
Incoming, you guys, incoming. Get your fire suit, get your helmets on here. Yeah, LOL in advance. Right there, guys. Soon, headline will be, God promises the U.S. to aliens 3,000 years ago. Be careful what you wish for, boys and girls. That's it. The aliens just show up and say, it's in our scripture. Here's our Bible. God promised us this country. You have to give it, you know.
As crazy as that sounds, interestingly enough, a lot of these geopolitical hotspots, including you were bringing up Patagonia, Patrick, I don't know if you're aware of this, they just made a recent archaeological discovery that is just quite fascinating, involving some sort of demonic Nephilim giant. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. So there's always these weird things that are going on, and there's been a long-running conspiracy theory in some circles that a lot of our military actions in certain areas of the world, in particular the Middle East, they're planting wanting evidence that they're going to bring forward later to say, oh, look, we, the aliens, created you and that God is fake and there was no all sorts of bizarre stuff like that. That, again, I'm like, why do these military things always take place right around these weird places? I don't get it. But I mean, just putting it out there for the tinfoil hat wearers, my fellow tinfoil hat wearers, of course.
If they announced alien life, would the markets crash? Probably.
Somebody would have a decent bet on Polymarket, I'm sure.
Ooh, that's just, I can't stand that thing. It's just so corrupt.
It's so crazy, man. Like, I can't believe how many people are betting on these things. Like, you know, I don't know. Like, people have a hard time with gambling. It's inherent in human nature. There's you know, adrenaline and oxytocin and all kind of, you know, chemical dumps associated with gambling. And, you know, that's one of the reasons gambling is so highly regulated in the United States. Of course, the primary reason being, you know, that mobsters and the CIA want to control it and be the, you know, make the lion's share of the money and be in charge of all the black markets that circle around it. But overall, you know, as a country, we've been pretty tight about gambling. There are sanctioned locations where you can do it. You know, you want to do it, go to Atlantic City, go to Tahoe, go to, you know, Vegas, et cetera, et cetera. But now it's like, you know, we live in this small town in Central Texas here, and it's like we see people all over the place making bets and talking about making bets on their phones. I mean, given most of it is sports related, but a lot of it's like these, you know, newer outlets like Ruckus is talking about, these platforms where we're seeing these, you know, unrealistic, absurd bets that are paying off and making everybody scratch their heads and go, sorry, that's really sus. Like, you have insider information and there's no repercussion for it. Like, you do that on Wall Street and you're the wrong person, you're going to have a problem. You do that on your, you know, your 1099s or whatever, you're going to have a problem. But in here, it's like it's just almost being done or allowed. It's like it's been allowed to open up into another cybernetic feedback loop that puts people in the mindset, that brings people into the mindset that maybe didn't know they had or were susceptible, you know, at a, you know, human level to the, you know, highs and lows of gambling. Now they can just do it 24/7 on the most ridiculous things or, you know, mundane things or whatever.
Regime change.
Yeah.
If you're in the Pentagon or you're in the Trump White House, or then someone made $400,000 off of Maduro's removal. So that was clearly someone in the Trump administration or who knew somebody, maybe the spouse or who knows. But it's corrupt.
And there's a flood of bets right now that by the end of the month, by the 31st, that the Iranian regime will be done. Mm-hmm. And it's like, that's kind of a no-brainer bet, considering all the propaganda that everybody's been, you know, force-fed over the last few weeks. So it's like the people that do make big money on that, they have a smokescreen around them of a ton of people who are just piggybacking on it and going, oh, you know, I'll put 50 on that. All of a sudden there's, you know, millions of people that have $50, and then, you know, a handful of people that have, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars on it.
Mm-hmm.
Also, there's a mind-blowing amount of real-time data being collected here. I mean, they find polls very valuable in order to know how we can then nudge, oh, we're going wrong here because not enough people, we haven't manufactured enough consent. I believe strongly they're using these newfangled Polymarkets and Kalshi to manufacture consent for all sorts of crazy stuff, and know how to properly target individuals. And how, maybe they could even, like, literally, by the way that they rig some of the betting, they could change some people's minds about things, not the other way around. I bet you there's some of that going on. And AI, you know, could probably handle that kind of data and do that kind of mind effery and nudging in real time. And it just blows my mind. And I won't touch it. I'm not going to use it ever.
Listen, there's so much potential social engineering with all of this, and AI just brings another level of capacity to actually pull that off in real time. And there's all sorts of things that with advertising and algorithms that's already being done that does work, that does predict behavior. And you could really, I mean, this is just so bad for government, politics, for society. You can't bet on politics. It just should be fully illegal. because the corruption on insider trading. It's because what if to get regime change in Iran, dropping a tactical nuke on Tehran or on a government building, and then what does that lead to? Nuclear war with Russia and China, and someone just made let's say they made like 10 million, couple guys made 100 million or whatever on that bet. I mean, it's the level of depravity and corruption and the inhumane aspect of it is to betting on regime change.
Right?
I don't really want World War III, but I got a lot of money riding on it.
Right? Like imagine a bunch of people sitting around in a pub or a bar or something, right? And the news comes on and it's like, breaking tactical nuke has been dropped on Tehran, and everybody erupts into cheers, like their sports ball team just won, because they know that they bet on that. They're gonna make a bunch of money on it. And it's like you use the word depravity, the depravity of that, just thinking of that scenario, someone winning money because they bet on a horrible, human atrocity, a crime against humanity, is really, it's no wonder people are walking away from the news, because, you take a thread, you pull it down to this level, and it's like, where is the humanity? I need to go outside.
So down the bottom here, Moffat Studios says, is the second coming of Trump, does that have anything to do with the other second coming? Now, you're making a joke about this, but if, the QAnon thing, imagine if Trump ends up in the hospital or dies, or there's a rumor that he died, the Q is just going to go into hyperdrive, and that he's still alive, and he's going to rise again, and he's the Messiah. We're joking about this. There's going to be a lot of people that are going to get sucked down that road, and it's like because there is a cult aspect to MAGA, and QAnon just made the crazy end of that cult almost legitimized by Michael Flynn and these people that were pushing QAnon, these so-called leaders, if you will. And it's going to be endless with Trump, because I personally think because he was marketed as this kind of savior, it's clearly the opposite as we speak. He's about the closest thing to the Antichrist on the current scene at the moment. But let's not get into religious eschatological themes. But we could have that conversation maybe with other experts.
And he just got a street named after him in Florida.
Definitely get a street named after him in Tel Aviv. If there's anything left of Tel Aviv, because that might just get cooked, right? If they go down this road. Okay, here we go. This is fact. This is in the news, you guys. Ex-Bank of England analyst warns alien disclosure could spark financial crisis. Headline this weekend. That's true. That's a real headline. Ex-Bank of England analyst, though, that's quite a low-level title, It's a bit like, Undertaker.
Unverified, but if true, Patrick.
But if true, maybe check Mario's feed, you guys. Maybe he's running with this. It's probably good for clickbait. Mario, what are we going to do with that guy?
I don't know. I love the call outs though in the comments under his posts these days, because it was like after the Twitter files, people just thought he was, the bee's knees. And now it's like you start reading through the comments under one of his, most absurd posts, and you'll just see people flat out calling it out. They're like, hey, just another one of those people that followed you from the Spaces days, and now this is what you're doing, this kind of clickbait propaganda, noted, stuff like that.
Yeah, the comments are brutal. He doesn't care, or whoever's operating his account. It's just making money on Elon's system. Okay, 265-444. Baron Trump looks like Damien Thorne out of The Omen. No, Jared Kushner is a doppelganger for Damien Thorne. Have you guys put them side by side? The hair part, identical. That really freaked me out when Kushner arrived, and I thought, and there is something evil about Jared Kushner that it's not hard to put your finger on. Let's be honest. Yeah. So Barron's Barron will be about 7'6" by the time that happens.
Yeah, we suspect he's got just a hint of Nephilim blood.
A little bit, yeah. It is. You know, no one's talking about the Epstein files and that tranche of emails. There's some very, very disturbing material in that. That, you know, whether it's true or confirmed or not, especially about the current president.
Oh, you mean Danny Bongos isn't talking about that on his Rumble stream?
Dan Bongino. Dan Bongino. Now let's not get started there. Yeah. I don't think so. Lazarus Trump. Yeah, you guys, listen, I'm calling that. You know that's coming. You know that's coming. Meanwhile, Jeffrey Epstein is probably drinking cocktails on the beach in Israel or somewhere, maybe New Zealand. We're not sure, but
I'm thinking Fiji. I think Fiji's probably where he's at.
Yeah. And Charlie Kirk is probably also in witness protection somewhere. Maybe that's why they didn't do an autopsy. Or have a funeral, an actual funeral ceremony at a cemetery. Maybe that's why. Who knows? But we're just crazy, aren't we, for even asking or positing such crazy alternative hypotheses.
Yeah, we don't even have to bother because pretty much the entirety of the internet is already working that one. So well done, people.
I mean, with Trump,
right.
miracles have been performed. I mean, lest we forget, you guys, Trump, the first human ever to have an ear grow back in 2 weeks. So he could be canonized by a church based on some of these recent miracles.
It was just the lobe. It heals fast.
That's right. I mean, that's actually probably not by accident. The fact that the mainstream media is completely out to lunch over the Epstein stuff because they're focused on the war stuff, and the alternative media is out to lunch over the war stuff because they're still talking about the Charlie Kirk stuff and the infighting with Candace and all of that stuff. So here we are stuck in the middle doing the reporting, right?
Look at this, you guys. Pat Trivers, Kalshi said they put Donald Trump Jr. on their board because of his expertise and influence. Is that true? He's on the board of Kalshi, a political betting. Okay, that's not sus at all, is it?
That's crazy because I think the other son is somehow involved with Polymarket, Eric.
Oof. They can't possibly be doing insider trading. I mean, I don't think none of the Trump administration. They're the paragon of virtue. Right.
So as of this article's posting out of CCN, which was August 27 last year, they say Donald Trump Jr. is joining Polymarket's advisory board as part of an investment deal with 1789 Capital, the venture capital firm he is a partner of. While in fitting with his interest in crypto, the move threatens to create a conflict of interest for Trump Jr., who is also an advisor for rival prediction market operator Kalshi. So that was the situation last summer.
So the same son is involved in both, Donald Jr. Okay.
That's great.
Coke or Pepsi? Which will it be, Coke or Pepsi?
Yeah.
Moderna or Pfizer? What's your choice? Left or right? Blue or
use
red?
AI to bring in aliens and the Antichrist to fool people. Yep, basically what we said before. Charlie Kirk. Some people believe Charlie Kirk was a holy figure, a prophet of sorts.
His show sits there still. Pat. It is so cringy to tune in to Real America's Voice and watch the Charlie Kirk show. I've tried a few times. It is insane. I would love to see some real metrics, not fake metrics, some real metrics on their viewership pre and post September 10, 2025. Because man, if you're buying what they're selling, wow, you might want to unplug and go hang out outside.
Sorry, Hesher, we can't do that. But can I interest you in instead some conspiracy theories that suggest Charlie Kirk was a time traveler? Because there's that going around.
Well, I thought he was Superman. I guess Superman can travel time. If he flies backward around the Earth fast enough, he can spin time back. That's how he saved Lois Lane in the first movie. So, he's Superman. Bullets bounce off his collarbone. Large bore bullets bounce off his collarbone, and he can travel time. It's great. Maybe him and Barron Trump are time traveling buddies.
Yeah, that was Candace really got knocked for that comment. People made a meal out of it with their, here we go. Charlie Kirk traveled time so his wife could sell T-shirts at this funeral.
And a photo booth opportunity for where he was shot.
That's right. Shabbat Shalom. Is there anyone creepier than Erica Kirk? Anyone?
Maybe Lindsey Graham?
Peter Thiel. I'll go with Peter Thiel.
Oof, that'd be a power couple, wouldn't it? Peter Thiel and Erica Kirk.
Larry
that
Ellison.
Would be scary right there.
I heard a rumor that Erica Kirk was going to start dating Tom Brady. Is this true?
That would be a real step down for Tom Brady to go from Gisela Bündchen supermodel to somebody that has male hips. Let's face it. Have you seen the picture of Erica in the swimsuit? It's not very flattering. Women usually have a sort of shape, but she's just like straight down. Weird. Without the makeup, I don't know. She does have quite heavy makeup all the time on. Scary looking, actually.
It really drives it home when someone asks her a serious question and her only answer is, "Stop it.
Stop it. Stop it. Enough. Oh, geez. You guys are it's just getting pornographic now. Do you know Tom Brady broke up with his wife? Do you know who was the catalyst for that?
Taylor Swift.
Guess. It's not Epstein. Not that we know of. No, but close. Sam Bankman-Fried.
What? Pray tell, fill in the blank.
Someone lost a lot of money when what was it called? FTX?
Yeah.
They were sponsors and they got caught up in that.
They got paid in crypto.
Forgot about that.
They got paid in crypto. They all did. All the Steph Curry, Tom Brady. And apparently I think she was pissed off because he was up to his neck in FTX, Bankman-Fried. And I think they fell out over it because that's right after that they got divorced. So I think it was financial, personally. There's a lot of rumors and gossip that it was like because someone had an affair, but the FTX thing, the bottom fell out of that. A lot of people got burned, and they were famous, and famous people don't want to go public about how they got absolutely trousered by this scam artist. So I think it was that.
That's scam artist working on at the behest of the DNC, whether he knew it or not, laundering money internationally to and from and back to Ukraine and back to the DNC. I mean, and now that you've sparked my memory on this, there was a list. An A list of stars, Hollywood stars, sports people, and business people that put their big amounts of their coin into FTX.
Yep. Yeah, I said PBD, Patrick Bet David, was supposedly alt media, military grade weapons. Not sure what you mean there, but he's not alt media. I saw him in an interview with Piers Morgan. He was just like told about 10 lies per 10 seconds. Couldn't even keep up with it. It would take you an hour to break down a 3-minute interview with these people. Just firing the lies in,
Oh, truly. And a lot of these people, I used to watch clips from somewhat, regularly before October 7. It's amazing how October 7, the line that, when that was the big fracturing line in MAGA. That was sort of the first strike, I think, of the MAGA movement. It's just amazing how many people have, taken the money, shown their colors, whatever, however you want to frame it, and are now just like these weird, ghosts of internet past almost. They're still living, but now propaganda mouthpiece.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. Here you go. Just so here's Patrick Bet David, Valuetainment. Apparently was an insurance multi-level marketer salesman. That's how he made his money. MLM's totally legit, right, guys?
It's your first red flag, everybody.
Multi-level marketing. I'm so shocked. Color me shocked. I mean, someone made a funny comment on X about him. I think it was like the Armenian or Iranian community were pissed off because he wasn't supporting King Pahlavi hard enough. And he said, Patrick Bet David talks like a coke dealer from Glendale. He went on an internet rant. It was on X. It was hilarious. It was like it was Iranian versus Iranian, like infighting. But so here's PBD, and I mean, listen, you can't pack enough lies into a segment. It's hard to do, but yet this guy has like somehow done it. So this was on Piers Morgan here, and just we'll try to pause and keep up with it, but it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be a challenge. Let's see. Let's crank this up. Patrick Bet David. He's really been on a tear. He's been on a jihad for Reza Pahlavi. He wants to get that king in there.
Supposed to be a grandmaster. Your number one move should be protect your border, not Ukraine. If you're saying let's worry about Ukraine, maybe it's number 9 on the list. It ain't number 1 above the border. That is the most ludicrous argument I would ever make.
Well, let me ask you this.
We have to take care of America
let me ask you this.
Then we take care of everybody else.
Why should America be supporting Israel then? That's thousands of miles away.
How much money are we giving to Israel?
Billions.
How much money are we giving Israel? I'm curious. Go ahead. I'm curious. Go ahead. Are we sending troops over there? Are we sending missiles over there?
No, but
Are we sending missiles to Israel? Hello, Patrick Bet David.
Lots.
Like everything that they can shoot, we're sending over. Are we sending billions? Yeah. So Patrick Bet David is trying to make the argument that we're really not supporting Israel that much. Every single base that we have in the Middle East, Bahrain, Iraq, Diego Garcia, everything surrounding Djibouti, two bases inside Israel now, one in Sinai, plus 20 bases in Syria, plus Incirlik in Turkey, plus. It's all to protect Israel and Jordan. All of it. And Saudi Arabia and Qatar. It's all to defend Israel. So this guy, this hothead, honestly doesn't know what he's talking about.
How much money are we giving to Israel? I know the dome we've given it since 1945. I think $10 billion we've given to them. $3 billion is towards the dome.
Yeah.
How much?
What? So he's saying since 1945 we've only given $10 billion to Israel?
That's a lie.
That's the stupidest comment.
We gave more than that last year, man.
So he's meant to be a successful businessman who's like very good with numbers, and we've only given Israel $10 billion since 1945. Maybe he's just like talking out of his you know what, because he's on Piers Morgan and he's excited.
How much money are we giving them?
Billions of dollars.
Not comparable to what we've given to Ukraine in 12 months. 24.
Actually, no. In terms of emergency packages and funding and the arms, what we've given Israel is comparable within a 1-year window, especially since October 7th, 2023. So they've got a good chunk. In terms of pure cash, a lot of what we give Ukraine is tied up in arms, Lend-Lease type arrangements. So again, Patrick Bet David, these people get these huge platforms. They don't know what the hell they're talking about. But maybe that's why they get the big platforms.
For months? No way. Not even close.
Isn't the principle the same? You're doing it to help them defend themselves.
No, it's not. The part with Israel is slightly different because it's both strategic, because there's only one country in Israel that has historically always been pro-America and has been an ally in the Middle East, and that's Israel. Iran's not been the case since the Shah, right? Saudi Arabia now with MBS, he's trying to...
What's he talking about? Saudi has always been a U.S. ally. The petrodollar, right? I mean, you can't get tighter relationship than that. We've got bases in Qatar. We got the Fifth Fleet in Bahrain. This guy is completely off his rocker. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's just just for entertainment purposes. Let's hear what he has to say.
To work and make progress to the point where Ronaldo, your friend, feels safe going out there with his family to play soccer there. These are good things that MBS and Saudi Arabia is doing. He's kind of doing what the Shah was doing back in the 50s, 60s, 70s.
MBS is like the Shah now. Okay. Like, what is he talking about? It's safe for Ronaldo to go play football there. But I can't. The argument he's making is that MBS is...
I like what he's doing with Saudi Arabia. But Israel, to us, a part of it is also loyalty due to our faith, where we need that country, especially what America was founded on, Judeo-Christian. That's a
It wasn't, the term Judeo-Christian didn't exist when America was founded. This is a new invention. I mean, this guy is, what is this guy talking about? Patrick Bet-David.
A bit deeper than that. But with Ukraine, the guy's an opportunistic guy. Respect to him that's coming up to America, making everybody feel guilty and raising money. I salute him for being a great beggar and a great fundraiser.
I do agree with that, what he said about Zelensky there. That's about all I'm going to agree with this guy on, though. Anyway. Hey, but this is what Piers Morgan... I mean, I'm blocked by Piers Morgan, so this producer's not going to reach out to me. But...
No, I wouldn't expect you to get an invite there. On my screen here, I've got a visual aid if you want, Patrick. This is pretty much all of the bases in the area. And if you look at Saudi Arabia there, it's like it is encircled with U.S. Air Force, U.S. Navy, and Army bases. And then there's the green ones, which are like logistics hubs, I think. So, you know, and some of those, like I'm zoomed out far enough that you can see basically all the way from like Greece to South Sudan here. But if I was to zoom in on Saudi Arabia, you'd notice that some of these bubbles would double up. They're like, you know, an army base next to a Air Force base next to an army base and a logistics supply. There's tons of this stuff.
Yeah. And when the missiles started flying, you guys, all of that activated to create a defense shield for Israel. Okay, so that then you could see what the U.S. presence was for. It's not to protect the oil, because the U.S. doesn't rely on Saudi Gulf oil. But yes, it is to keep or to control the energy markets to a degree. But we saw when missiles started flying, U.S. basically created a defense umbrella for Israel that extends from the Red Sea to Diego Garcia, north to Turkey, to the Mediterranean. It's massive. Massive. So if you talk about aid, you have to include the cost of running all of those U.S. military assets in the region, because that's for Israel. That's to defend Israel. That should go to the bill for the cost. What is that cost in a year? That defense umbrella. That's not cheap. So that includes the naval assets, air assets, flying AWACS, rivets, all that. Seriously. If people knew. Anyway. Gentlemen, we're going to wrap it up. But it's been an interesting and crazy week. And we're not even talking about the markets. Gold and silver is just going crazy. That's not a good sign for the economy, because that means that heavy instability is afoot. So, yes, we do have that as well. So it's all up in the air with Trump and with this administration, with what's going on. You know, somehow I just think that someone's juggling the wrong balls. That's what it feels like. Final thoughts, my esteemed colleagues.
Yeah, well, you know, the big question is, what is the end game? You know, what is the big thing that is going to actually affect you? You know, wherever you live. What is it? We outlined enough things in the, you know, strict geopolitical sense. We touched on a lot of things that exist in sort of the exopolitics realm, even the metaphysical today. So if you're familiar with the old Illuminati cards, right? Remember they had the card deck of Illuminati stuff, and it was like, Project Bluebeam and all these different things. Many of you know exactly what I'm talking about. You could quite literally take that deck right now and just shuffle it and throw 3 or 4 cards out and go, yeah, that one, that applies to current reality right now. This absurd future conspiracy oriented event, I actually see events going on right now that could lead to something like this. That's quite literally where we're at. So the big question is, when is it? What is it? And what's on the other side of it? So that's frightening and exciting at the same time. So I would like to see what it is, know what it is. At least I think I do. Even if it's crappy, I'd rather see what it is than just live in a strategy of tension, and propaganda endlessly. So, I may regret saying this, but let's get on with it, guys. Let's get on with it. Let's see what you got. And follow us at alternatecurrentradio.com. And there's a good chance that we'll be doing a live boiler room tonight. So get on over to YouTube, Rumble, and X. Follow myself and Ruckus and Patrick if you haven't yet. Join our Discord. There's an invite to our Discord at alternatecurrentradio.com in the upper right hamburger menu. If you're a Discord person, we'd love to have you in there. We've got quite literally a knowledge management and repository system and collaboration suite that we've built in there. Ruckus has put a lot of energy into making sure that our Discord is highly valuable and highly useful. It's got over, I think, 5 years now of articles and show posts and anything ACR, Sunday Wire, Boiler Room related you can find in there. Not to mention over 500 of our good friends, viewers, and listeners and colleagues in there. So if you want to hang out, it's a great spot. It's not all black pill. We got a white pill spot for you. We got general chat. You can just chill. Or you can get hardcore into the news articles if you like. You can drop suggestions. It's a good time. So that's how you find us. And thanks for having me, Patrick. Great opening monologue today. I think it really laid a good foundation for people, who are trying to understand where we are at geopolitically right now. So once again, thanks for having me.
No, our pleasure. The end game is the holy hand grenade. Yeah.
There you go. And will it be tossed by an alien?
Now you're talking. Glad I found your show. Yeah, thank you. We're glad you're here. Thank you, Hesher. Ruckus, your final thoughts before we set this one adrift.
Well, we've got a war on terror, which has failed. We've got a war on drugs, which has failed. I declare a war on propaganda. That's kind of what we do here. That's actually kind of what a small handful, albeit scattered throughout the interwebs and around the world, a handful, and I do mean, unfortunately, a diminishing handful of independent media, free thinkers, and content creators. You know who they are if you follow them and you like the work that they're doing, such as outlets like the one right here, but also out there in the world, people who are doing the work that you wish, like, man, why can't this one media outlet be like these people? Well, if you like those people, please support them. If you like what they're doing, send them some money, support them financially, share their show, send them a letter and let them know how much you appreciate what they're doing. You'd be surprised how much a little note coming from somebody via an email will go a long way in keeping them going, because in this industry, you get what you pay for. So we do appreciate very kindly and very muchly all of those who do support us, not just monetarily, but those who would get to meet in our, like, Ruckus, Hesher just mentioned there, the Discord chat, of course. So please visit us there. Again, you can find that by going to our website, Alternate Current Radio, and clicking this little hamburger menu. And then down there, it says Discord server. Just click that and you'll be good to go. If you get lost when you're in there, just say, hi, I'm new here. We'll help you figure it out, okay? There's just a lot going on, but we'd love to have you there. And thanks so much for having me, Patrick. I'll leave everybody with my standard quote from Bill Cooper, may he rest in peace. Read everything, listen to everybody, but don't you believe anything unless you prove it for yourself using your own research.
Very good advice. Timeless advice, as always. Thank you, Ruckus. I just say, I think this came out of our comments last week. I can't remember, the Daily Closet. That sounds familiar. Thanks, Patrick, Hesher, and Ruckus. Good news. Your paid subscription to Graham's newspaper, the Daily Closet, is on the way. I think is this happening? Apparently it's going to happen. The Daily Closet. I don't know. That one would be.
I heard Volume 1's going to be called Out of the Closet with Steve Witkoff.
I think that would do well in Washington, D.C., probably. I just have a feeling that would be very popular.
Get the attendance back up at those bars where it dipped.
Yeah, the bars. Yeah, doing geolocation tracking to see where they're all at, where they spend their leisure time. Yes, indeed. Well, it is a weird world, folks. It is a weird world. Lovely Sunday War. Thank you very much. Yes. Shout out to Trumpstein. I hear you. We hear you. Thank you very much, you guys. Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen. That is Hesher and Ruckus. Brian McLean, a.k.a. Hesher. Adam Clark, a.k.a. Ruckus. Yes, these are guys you want to follow on social media as well as at the Alternate Current Radio. Great community in the Discord server. As they said, it is a thriving community. That's one place you can go. If you're looking for like-minded people who see the world in the jaded way, but the very interesting and open-minded way in which we do at this program and at the other great shows there at ACR, that's a community that you want to link into. Hello to everybody in the 21st Century Wired chat. Appreciate you guys keeping it real, keeping it alive, energizing it. Look, we're gonna wrap this program up, and this is longer. We normally going just around or under 2 hours, so we've done extra because there's just you guys. You're being propagandized on such a level, and you're being skull plugged by all these people, and we're just doing a little bit of extra work this week because we want to make sure you're up to speed on this stuff. You can also watch me on UK Column News live on Friday, also on YouTube. You'll see that program there. I host with Mike Robinson. And Basil Valentine is also coming on regularly to give comment. So if you like Basil, you'll see him with me on Friday on UK Column News. And we're absolutely smashing it there as well. So great organization, great show. Yeah, Lindsey Graham's bobbleheads. Yeah, that'd be a good fundraiser, wouldn't it? Listen, you guys, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And again, before we go, big shout out for everybody who has supported us and donated on the winter fundraising drive. And I'll put that up on screen once again before we go. We're going to update that dial. We're past the halfway mark, and we're surging right now. Even during this program, there's been a flood of donations. So again, we've seen some alerts coming through. So you guys, your generosity the last couple of weeks, you've really made it work for us. So it means that we're going to go into 2026 in a good, firm, strong position to do the things that we need to do to make sure this platform and all the various channels that we're 8 channels that we're managing on different platforms for 21st Century Wire. But the mothership is the most important, 21stcenturywire.com. And if you go there, you click on the donate button, it'll take you to options here. There's a lot of different ways you can support us. We'd love to see you all take out a membership at 21wire.tv. Support us regularly every week. I know that, or every month. I know a lot of you have done in the last couple weeks. You guys, amazing. So that family, that community is growing, and that's our support network. We are absolutely listener and viewer supported, reader supported outlet, independent media outlet. We've been going since late 2009, early 2010. So we're 15 years on. We have a 15-year anniversary probably in September. Or be probably in the fall. So look forward to that. So yeah, we'll be here. We've been here. We're going to stay here. We're going to keep it going. And we need your help to do that and to add some new strings to our bow, which we've done over the last year. It's been very successful. And we're going to double up on those efforts in the coming months in 2026. So it's a crucial year for the world, and we'll be here to help you navigate it. It's the best we can do. And we appreciate you guys. We really do. That's all we've got time for. I'm Patrick Henningsen, your host. This has been a good Sunday Wire, and appreciate the engagement. We've had over 2,500 comments on the aggregate streams, which is a lot for the live stream. So yeah, thank you. It's been really good. Take care, you guys. All the best. We'll see you during the week and also next Sunday. Take care.
You are the revolution.
When you're tired of being just a commodity, you are the revolution. And when gas leads into another war, stand strong because you are the revolution.
You are the revolution. You are the revolution. You are the revolution. You are the revolution
that you've been waiting for.
You are the revolution. You are the revolution. You are the revolution.
They conspire against you, accuse you of terrorism, to steal your sovereignty. Hold fast, watch it collapse. Know that we still have the power. You are the revolution. They want to centralize, monopolize, control your thoughts. Breathe, go deep, go outside, put seeds in the ground. You are not alone. You are not alone. You are the revolution that you've been waiting for. You are the revolution that you've been waiting for. Alone. You are the revolution that you've been waiting for.
You are the revolution.
You are not alone. That you've been waiting for.
Oh, hi. Is this a time to the revolution?
Why, yes, my lady. And you're right on time.